Chapter 8:17. Grandpa, it's already happened. Don't take it to heart. You're right. Since it's already happened, we have to face it. Yang Yu clenched his fists tightly. He wished he could find Longao immediately and tear him into pieces. Ding Tian, take care of the sect for me. I'm going to the Martial Artists Alliance now. Martial Artists Alliance? Yang Dingtian was curious when he heard that his grandpa was going to the Martial Artists Alliance. He didn't know what his grandpa meant. What did this have to do with the Martial Artists Alliance? Before Yang Dingtian could ask, Yang Yu said, Kong Chun and Kong Chong must be afraid of me coming out of seclusion. No matter what, the Black Wind Valley has joined the Martial Artists Alliance. If the Black Wind Valley uses the Martial Artists Alliance to deal with us, we will be in a passive position. Yang Yu wasn't stupid. He knew how terrifying the Martial Artists Alliance was. Even if he had achieved the position of Supreme Dao, the ancient Martial Art Alliance could easily send out a Supreme Dao warrior to destroy the Clear Sky sect if they wanted to deal with them. This was the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance. He would be lying if he said he wasn't afraid of them. That was why Yang Yu decided to go to the Martial Artists Alliance personally. No matter what, he couldn't let the Martial Artists Alliance side with the Black Wind Valley. Kong Chun and Kong Chong left the Clear Sky sect with many warriors of the Black Wind Valley. In front of the Clear Sky Peak. Humph, I didn't expect Yang Yu to be alive and even reach the Supreme Dao realm. This is going to be troublesome. Kong Chun shrugged helplessly. He didn't know what to do. After thinking for a while, Kong Chun said, It seems that we can only choose to rely on the Martial Artists Alliance. As long as the Martial Artists Alliance is willing to stand on our side, it doesn't matter if Yang Yu is a Supreme Dao warrior. Kong Chun had full confidence in the Martial Artists Alliance. However, Kong Chong looked helpless. He sighed deeply and said, If I'm not mistaken, Yang Yu has already gone to the Martial Artists Alliance. Between the Black Wind Valley and a Supreme Dao warrior, the Martial Artists Alliance will definitely choose the Clear Sky sect, not the Black Wind Valley. Kong Chun was astonished to hear this, but he understood. He asked, What should we do now? Wait and see. Let's not bother about Longao's matter for the time being. Why? Hearing this, Kong Chun was very curious. He had no idea what was going on. No matter what happened, he would avenge his son. Therefore, no matter what, Longao had to die. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. As long as Longao and the Clear Sky sect don't stand on the same side, I'm sure that after this incident, the grudge between Longao and the Clear Sky sect has reached a point where one of them has to die. Therefore, we don't have to do anything. The Clear Sky sect will help us deal with Longao. I see. Both the Clear Sky sect and the Black Wind Valley had blocked the news of the battle at the Clear Sky sect. In other words, other than the two forces and Longao himself, no one knew about this battle. The fact that Yang Yu was a Supreme Dao warrior was also kept a secret. However, there was one thing. The Supreme Sky sect had issued a kill order for Longao. No matter who it was, as long as they could kill Longao, they would be heavily rewarded. Not only that, but the Black Wind Valley had also issued a kill order for Longao. Below Great Heaven Peak, in a secluded cave not far from Great Heaven Peak, Longao and Longjing were hiding here. If the Supreme Sky sect were to find out where they were hiding, it was unknown what Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian would think. After all, their enemies were hiding beside them. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. Sob, 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 sob. Longao hugged Longjing gently inside. He didn't know what to do now that things had developed to this stage. After all, Longjing was in this situation because of him. After crying for a few hours, Longjing gradually stopped. Longjing was like this not because she was captured by the two forces, but because she had been suppressing her feelings for Longao. Longjing knew that Longao wouldn't like her, but she didn't know why she still liked him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have left the dragon sect alone to look for Longao in the Tianwu continent. Xiao Jing, I've let you down. Sure, it's not your fault. Longao, I just want to ask you one thing. I like you, but do you like me? F***ck Longao cursed in his heart. This was what he was most afraid of. Whatever he was afraid of, it really happened. For a moment, Longao didn't know how to answer. From the beginning, he had never liked Longjing. Other than Yuan and Aoshue, He wouldn't like any other woman. When it came to love, Longao was very loyal. If it hadn't been for that accident, perhaps he wouldn't have even accepted Aoshua. If you don't leave me, I'll be by your side in life and death. No matter what happened, no matter what difficulties he encountered, Longao would always say those words. Xiao Jing, do you know about me, Aoshua, and Yuan? Long Jing nodded. Her appearance was lovely. This was Longao. If it had been any other man, they probably wouldn't have been able to control themselves. Xiao Jing, although I know saying this will hurt you, I know that if I don't say it, it will hurt you even more. In this world, other than Yuan and Aoshua, I won't like any other woman. Can't you give me a chance? Long Jing forced herself not to cry as tears fell silently from her eyes. Longao, I really like you. I just want you to give me a chance. Even if it's just a sliver of a chance, I'll try my best. Please, I beg you. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't soft-hearted. However, Longao knew who he liked. It was because he didn't want to hurt Long Jing that he couldn't accept it. He had to make things clear as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer this matter dragged on, the more it would hurt Long Jing. Xiao Jing, don't be like this. I believe that you'll find someone better than me in the future. I'll get someone to send you back now. I don't want to. I don't want to. Longao, I'll hate you forever. I'll hate you forever. Long Jing stood up and rushed out of the cave without a care. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared without a trace. Standing outside the cave, Longao did not chase after them because he did not know what to say and what to do if he chased after them. It was also his first time encountering such a situation. He was really powerless. It seemed that he could only slowly solve it in the future. Longao sighed deeply. If it wasn't a last resort, he really didn't want to hurt Long Jing. However, things had already reached this point. He could only take one step at a time. Chapter 818. Longao felt very guilty towards Long Jing. Inside the cave, sitting quietly, Longao didn't know what he was thinking. He just sat quietly by himself like this. In his life, he only liked two women. One was Aoshua, and the other was Yuan. Other than them, his heart could not hold a third woman. However, Longao still felt sorry for Long Jing. No matter what, Long Jing was not wrong. Her mistake was that she liked him. What should he do? Longao had a headache because he really did not want Long Jing to be hurt. At this moment, Long Ming suddenly rushed in. A black figure flashed. Only Longao could lock onto Long Ming's body. It turned out that Longao did not chase after him. Instead, he sent Long Ming to follow him. Longao knew very well that the person Long Jing did not want to see the most at this moment was him. After communicating with Long Ming, Longao had confirmed Long Jing's safety. Longao let out a long sigh of relief. Without any hesitation, he immediately followed Long Ming to find Long Jing. However, he did not disturb them. If it was any other time, Longao would not care about Long Jing. However, the situation was different now. The Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky sect were eyeing them covetously. If Long Jing were to enter the tiger's mouth, the consequences would be unimaginable. While following Long Jing, Longao tried all kinds of ways to contact Tongling. The heavens did not disappoint those who worked hard. Longao finally managed to contact Tongling. Longao, are you okay? Tongling was very worried about Longao. After all, Qin Yi's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, there was also the Red Blood Guards. Tongling had been looking for Longao. Now that she saw that Longao was safe and sound, she was pleasantly surprised. Longao smiled and said, I'm fine. Ling I came here this time mainly because I need your help. No matter what, please help me. Curious, Tongling asked, what is it? Since things had come to this point, Longao did not continue to hide it. He told them about the grudge between him and the two forces, as well as the previous events. Tongling was not a fool. Of course, she could understand the meaning behind Longao's words. You want me to protect Long Jing? Shaking his head, Longao continued, with Long Jing's personality, she definitely won't let you protect her. If you continue to stay outside, I'm afraid Long Jing will be hurt. Longao, do you mean that I should bring Long Jing back to the Martial Artists Alliance? That's right. Tonglinger lowered her head and thought for a moment before saying, Longao, that's not a problem. But I want to ask you, do you really not like Longjing? Regarding this matter, Tonglinger seemed to place great importance on it. Shaking his head, Longao did not answer. Then, Longao handed Longjing over to Tonglinger. The reason was simple. From Longao's point of view, the most dangerous place was the safest place. Once Longjing entered the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter if it was the Black Wind Valley or the Clear Sky Sect, they would definitely not dare to enter the Martial Artists Alliance to capture her. It was also because of this that Longao asked Tonglinger for help. Longao did not continue to dwell on the issue of Longjing. He knew very well that this time, he had dealt a heavy blow to the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect. If there were no accidents, the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect would definitely not let this matter rest. Longao did not care about the kill order and pursuit order issued by the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect. The only thing that Longao was wary of was the Divine Path Warrior of the Clear Sky Sect. This was because he had never expected that there would be a Divine Path Warrior in the Clear Sky Sect. Of course, he knew what it meant for the Clear Sky Sect to have a Divine Path Warrior in charge. Longao knew that at this moment, he and the two major forces had reached a point where it was either one of them dying or the other side perishing. Since this was the case, Longao did not do anything else. Since he would have a battle with the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect in the future, he could take advantage of this time to train himself with the Black Wind Valley and the Clear Sky Sect. Because of this, Longao did not leave the Clear Sky Sect. He was prepared to deal with the two major forces. Longao did not waste any time. This was because he only had 9 months. After 9 months, he would return to the Long family. At that time, there would be a fierce battle. The stronger he was, the more advantageous it would be for him. Longao couldn't do anything about the Long clan from the beginning to the end. After all, with his current strength, he couldn't compete with the Long clan at all. This was a world where strength was respected. Everything was done with fists. Longao knew that before he was strong enough, he could not completely fall out with the Long family. He summoned tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves from the Dragon Seal space. He sneered. Immediately after, tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves rushed into the Clear Sky Sect. Under such circumstances, Longao did not continue to be soft-hearted. This was because he did not want to kill the innocent. However, the Clear Sky Sect would not let him go. Since this was the case, why should he waste time? Tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves rushed into the Clear Sky Sect like crazy killing machines. They killed anyone they saw, regardless of the opponent's strength. Since Longao had already given the order, the tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves only knew how to obey the order. As long as the opponent was not a martial artist above the Saint Master realm, it would be very difficult to truly destroy the corpse slaves. This was because it was very difficult to destroy the corpse slaves with the same strength, even if the opponent was stronger. In the eyes of ordinary people, the corpse slaves were immortal. Yang Yu and the others quickly found out about the tens of thousands of corpse slaves attacking the Clear Sky Sect. No one knew what had happened. However, the matter was extremely urgent. Every minute of delay would mean more danger to the Clear Sky Sect. In just a few minutes, dozens of people had already been devoured by the corpse slaves. If this speed continued, the entire Clear Sky Sect would be massacred in a few hours. This time, Yang Yu led Yang Dingtian, Zhao Yu, and the others personally. Yang Yu had obtained the answer he wanted from the trip to the Martial Artists Alliance. However, he still had to deal with Longao. Hence, he rushed back without stopping. The tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves that Longao had sent out were the weakest corpse slaves. Let alone a supreme Dao martial artist, even a Saint Emperor martial artist could be completely destroyed. But no matter what, it would take a very long time to kill the tens of thousands of corpse slaves, even if they were to kill them one by one. Yang Yu didn't have any hesitation and immediately activated the Clear Sky Sect. He borrowed the array and his powerful strength to carry out the massacre. In just a few minutes, all the tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves were destroyed. It was a true destruction. None of the tens of thousands of spiritual beast corpse slaves were left alive. Clear Sky Sect, in the main hall. Yang Yu's face was gloomy to the extreme. It was as ugly as it could get, because he knew clearly in his heart who did this. Longao had summoned millions of spirit beasts before. This was no longer a secret. Everyone thought that after this incident, Longao would definitely leave the Clear Sky Sect. But unexpectedly, not only did Longao not leave, he even provoked the Clear Sky Sect. Chapter 819. Longao's provocation didn't put the Clear Sky Sect in his eyes. It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could bear it, but the chrysanthemum could not. Grandfather, Longao is obviously provoking us. What should we do? Yang Dingtian's expression was abnormally unsightly. After all, the Clear Sky Sect was no longer the same as before. With his grandfather, a supreme Dao martial artist overseeing the sect, the current Clear Sky Sect was already above the Black Wind Valley. Furthermore, his grandfather had personally gone to the Martial Artists Alliance and obtained the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. It could be said that the Clear Sky Sect was like a tiger that had grown wings. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. From the beginning to the end, Yang Yu didn't put Longao in her eyes. In her opinion, a mere Saint Emperor wouldn't be able to stir up any waves. As for Longao's spirit beast army, she had witnessed it with her own eyes. If it was an ordinary person, the spirit beast army might be a synonym for destruction. But to the Clear Sky Sect, the spirit beast army was just a joke. Grandfather, Longao has a spirit beast army of over 1 million. He only sent out 10,000 spirit beasts earlier. Yang Dingtian might not have finished speaking, but the meaning behind his words was very clear. He clearly knew the difference between 10,000 spirit beasts and 1 million spirit beasts. If Longao went crazy and summoned 1 million spirit beasts into the sect at the same time, how would the sect withstand it? How could Yang Yu not know about Yang Dingtian's worries? Yang Yu had also turned grave. Just as Yang Dingtian was worried, Longao didn't just have 10,000 spirit beasts. If 1 million spirit beasts were to surge in at the same time, it would indeed be troublesome. Relying on the Clear Sky Array? Yang Yu clearly knew that relying on the Clear Sky Array alone wouldn't be able to withstand the simultaneous attack of 1 million spirit beasts. Below the Clear Sky Peak, Longao wasn't surprised by the death of over 10,000 spirit beast corpse slaves. He had already expected this outcome. Even without the Clear Sky Array, he and Yang Yu could easily destroy over 10,000 spirit beast corpse slaves. Furthermore, the 10,000 corpse slaves that he sent out were the weakest among the 1 million corpse slaves. They were originally used as cannon fodder to test the waters. Longao didn't feel any heartache after sacrificing over 10,000 corpse slaves. As the saying went, one must sacrifice the child to trap the wolf. In the dragon seal space, Long Fu, did you sense it? This time, Longao sent out more than 10,000 spirit beasts to attack the Supreme Sky Sect. His intention was very simple. He wanted to use the 10,000 spirit beasts to activate the Supreme Sky Formation and find out where the core of the formation was. Only then would he have a chance to break the formation. Longao was very afraid of the Supreme Dao martial artists of the Clear Sky Sect, but he was even more afraid of the Clear Sky Sect's array. Previously, if not for the Supreme Sky Sect, the everlasting tornado illusion destruction formation that Xiao Qin laid down would not have been swallowed up by the Supreme Sky Sect. Xiao Qin ended up in such a passive state and nearly died. It was precisely because of this that after Longao and Long Fu discussed, they decided to use the 10,000 corpse slaves to draw out the formation's eye. Nodding his head, Long Fu said confidently, "Master, your method will work. With the help of the 10,000 corpse slaves, I have successfully sensed the core of the Supreme Sky Sect's formation. I have to admit that the Supreme Sky Sect's formation is very powerful. At the very least, with Master's strength, he would not be able to set up such a super formation." There was no need for Long Fu to say anything. Longao already knew how powerful the Supreme Sky Formation was. It was precisely because of this that Longao was very interested in studying the Supreme Sky Formation to see where its essence lay. "Long Fu, tell me first. Where is the core of the Supreme Sky Formation? Long Fu knew that his master was very anxious, so he did not keep Xiao Chun in suspense. He said, "Master, the core of the Supreme Sky Formation is very well hidden. If not for the dragon seal, I believe that it would be very difficult to find it." Following that, Long Fu told Longao the location of the core of the formation. After hearing that, Longao nodded and said, "In that case, we have to properly study the core of the Supreme Sky Formation." Longao did as he said, and his figure vanished from the dragon seal space. In an extremely well-hidden place within the Supreme Sky Peak, Longao used spatial teleportation to smoothly enter the Supreme Sky Peak. Even Yang Yu was unable to find traces of Longao. This was the power of spatial teleportation. Looking left and right, Longao confirmed that there was no one around, and immediately searched for the core of the Supreme Sky Formation. As expected, just as Long Fu said, the location of the core of the formation was extremely well hidden. If not for Long Fu, it would be impossible for Xiao Chun to find the core of the formation. The core of the Supreme Sky Formation was too well hidden. It was hard to imagine how great the attainments of the person who set up the formation were. Longao sensed the strength of the core of the formation. He could almost be sure that the person who set up the formation should be a god-level array master. Array masters were divided into Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5, Level 6, Level 7, Level 8, Level 9, King Level, Emperor Level, Venerable Level, Emperor Level, Emperor Level, Emperor Level, Sovereign Level, Emperor Level, and God Level. A God-grade array master stood at the pinnacle of array masters. At this moment, Longao truly knew that the Supreme Sky sect had been pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Not only did the Supreme Sky sect have a God-level array master, but they also had a God-level array master. The only thing that Longao could not be sure was whether this mysterious God-level array master still existed. Taking a step back, if this mysterious God-level array master was still alive, then it would be troublesome. Longao did not continue to dwell on this question. He looked at the core of the formation in front of him and immediately circulated all the energy in his body. Then, Longao began to attack the core of the formation, which was the so-called core of the Supreme Sky Formation. Longao was an array master, and a powerful array master at that. He knew very well about the destruction of the array core. If it was an ordinary person, even if they found the core of the formation, they might not be able to destroy it. But it was different for an array master. Boom! With a loud sound, the core of the formation was destroyed. Then, the entire Supreme Sky Sect was destroyed. The number 1 formation of the Supreme Sky Sect was destroyed so easily. Yang Yu and the others already knew that the Supreme Sky Formation was destroyed. They did not know what had happened because they did not know that Longao was also an array master. Moreover, he found the core of the formation and destroyed it. Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian were shocked. They did not dare to delay and immediately rushed towards the core of the formation. A few minutes later, looking at the destroyed core of the formation, the two of them had an extremely gloomy expression. The two of them could not figure out who was so reckless and dared to mess with them. "Grandfather, could this be done by Longao?" When he said this, even Yang Dingtian himself didn't really believe it. They had already figured out Longao's background. Even if Longao found the array core, would Longao be able to destroy the array core by himself? Chapter 820. It doesn't matter if he is Longao or not. Since he dares to provoke our Supreme Sky Sect, he must die. Yang Yu was already extremely furious. Not to mention the current Supreme Sky Sect, even the previous Supreme Sky Sect wasn't something that anyone could casually provoke. The two of them were almost certain that the person who destroyed the array core wasn't some powerful martial artist, but an array master. Otherwise, even if an ordinary person found the array core, they wouldn't be able to destroy it so easily. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's expression changed slightly as if he thought of something. "Grandfather, even if this person is a powerful array master, he wouldn't be able to find the array core so easily." Yang Yu wasn't a fool and asked, "What are you trying to say?" "Grandfather, the Supreme Sky Sect is a super array that the old ancestor asked a God-class array master to set up. The array core is so hidden. How could the other party find it so easily? Hints. I guess that this person must be very familiar with our Supreme Sky sect. Perhaps. Yang Dingtian didn't continue speaking because he wasn't willing to believe his own guess. Dingtian, you mean to say that there is a spy in the sect? Yang Dingtian nodded and smiled bitterly. Grandfather, although I don't want to believe this, I have to guess the direction of this matter. After thinking for a moment, Yang Dingtian clenched his teeth and continued, Grandfather, this person has ulterior motives. He wants to destroy our Supreme Sky sect's 100 years of foundation. Yang Yu already knew what his grandson meant. Yang Yu had the same attitude as Yang Dingtian. Unless it was a last resort, he wasn't willing to believe this result. Spy? Traitor? Yang Yu knew clearly what it meant to have a traitor in the Supreme Sky sect. When he thought about the destruction of the array and the foundation left behind by their ancestors being destroyed by his hands, Yang Yu's eyes instantly turned cold. Dingtian, investigate now. No matter what happened, you must find out. Even if you wrongly kill 1,000 people, you must not let go of any clues. Do you understand? Yang Dingtian nodded and didn't dare to hesitate. He knew how much damage the Supreme Sky sect would suffer from the destruction of the array. If he couldn't find the traitor, there would be endless troubles in the future. Just like that. While no one knew what had happened, Yang Dingtian started the process of searching for the traitor. Adhering to the principle that they would rather kill the wrong person than let the wrong person go, the number of people who were directly executed in the process of searching for the traitor this time had already reached hundreds. Regarding the actions of the sect, it could be said that the entire sect could only be said to be angry but did not dare to say anything. No one knew what had happened. They thought that the sect had something against them. In this way, the conflict between the two sides continued to intensify, and the volcano could erupt at any time. Yang Dingtian and Yang Yu didn't care about this. Because of the destruction of the array core, the entire Clear Sky sect was destroyed. A God-class array was equivalent to a sect's guardian. Regardless of Yang Dingtian, just Yang Yu was already infuriated to the extreme. Otherwise, she wouldn't have done such a brainless thing. Somewhere in the Clear Sky Peak, in a very hidden cave, Longao knew everything that happened in the Supreme Sky sect. Hence, Longao hid in the cave and did not go out. He didn't expect things to develop to such an extent. His original intention was very simple, which was to destroy the array core and thus the entire array. This way, when he dealt with the Supreme Sky sect in the future, he wouldn't have to worry about the array. However, Longao never expected that Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian would suspect that there was a traitor in the Supreme Sky sect. It was truly an unintended outcome. Longao was very willing to see such a situation happen. He would sit in the cave and wait for the Supreme Sky sect to have internal strife. When the time came, he might be able to take advantage of the situation and reap the benefits. During this period of time, Longao didn't waste any time and started to study the Supreme Sky sect's Clear Sky array. He wouldn't know if he didn't study it, but he was shocked when he started to study it. No wonder it was a God-tier array set up by a God-tier array master. If he didn't destroy the array core, it would be impossible to break the array. Longao couldn't imagine who set up this array in the Supreme Sky sect. Longao used the principles of the Burning Sky array to study the Supreme Sky sect. With the combination of the two, Longao's understanding of arrays became deeper and deeper. If he continued to develop with this momentum, he believed that it wouldn't take long for him to have a breakthrough in array skills. While Yang Yu was searching for the traitor, she also sealed off the sect. No one was allowed to enter or leave. She also sealed off all information. Main Hall, Black Wind Valley. I just received news that the Supreme Sky sect suddenly sealed off the exit. No one is allowed to enter or leave. I wonder what happened to the Supreme Sky sect? Kong Chong waved his hand and had an unpleasant expression. I didn't expect Yang Yu to receive the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. From now on, we have to follow the orders of the Supreme Sky sect. Kong Chong was unwilling to accept this. Before this, the Black Wind Valley had been suppressing the Supreme Sky sect. However, in just a few months, the Supreme Sky sect had suppressed the Black Wind Valley. He couldn't accept such a reversal. Then what should we do now? Wait and see. Our mission now is to find Longao. With the current situation, we have to stabilize the Supreme Sky Sect and wait for an opportunity. Although he was unwilling to do so, he knew that he had no choice but to do so. The Martial Artists Alliance didn't interfere with the grudges between Longao, the Black Wind Valley, and the Supreme Sky Sect. The reason was simple. The Martial Artists Alliance was one of the 10 most powerful forces in the Tianwu continent. If they interfered, they would be telling the world that the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect were working together and had the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. If that was the case, the Martial Artists Alliance would lose face. Although the Martial Artists Alliance didn't seem to care, they had secretly ordered the Black Wind Valley and the Supreme Sky Sect to kill Longao no matter what. In other words, no matter how cunning the Supreme Sky Sect and the Black Wind Valley were, they had chosen to work together to deal with Longao. After 2 days of searching, Yang Yu had no choice but to give up for now. Yang Yu wasn't a fool. Since this person had destroyed the formation core, he wouldn't show himself unless he was strong enough. If the sect continued to search for him, they would be in big trouble. The formation core had been destroyed. If the sect had an internal conflict because of this, it wouldn't be worth it. After thinking about it, Yang Yu chose to give up in the end. However, Yang Yu was more careful. This person was able to find the formation core without anyone noticing and destroy it. This showed how powerful he was. Chapter 821. Something big happened to the Clear Sky Sect. The Clear Sky Sect was suddenly attacked and suffered heavy losses. Hence, the sect was sealed off. It was unknown who spread the news, but it instantly spread across the entire Sky Martial continent. Second-rate factions and above naturally wouldn't put the Clear Sky Sect in their eyes. They only treated this matter as a joke. However, the other smaller factions, especially the Black Wind Valley, were shocked. They didn't know what happened and why the Clear Sky Sect was suddenly attacked and suffered heavy losses. Others might not know, but the Black Wind Valley knew as well. The Clear Sky Sect was no longer the same as before. With a supreme Tao martial artist overseeing the Clear Sky Sect, even if their foundation and overall strength couldn't contend with second-rate factions, they could still sweep away all third-rate factions. Could it be that the faction that dealt with the Clear Sky Sect was a second-rate faction? Clear Sky Sect, Main Hall. Grandfather, I have already investigated, but I still can't find out who spread the news. Yang Yu waved her hand and seemed to have guessed it. She said, if I'm not wrong, it should be Longao. Yang Dingtian's expression instantly turned gloomy when he heard about Longao. Yang Dingtian snorted and said coldly, Longao is really reckless. He didn't leave during this period of time and provoked us time and time again. Does he really think that our Clear Sky Sect is easy to bully? Yang Dingtian was truly infuriated this time. As the master of the Clear Sky Sect, his sect was provoked time and time again. As the master, he had lost all his face. If this matter were to spread out, it wasn't just the sect. Even he wouldn't be able to face anyone. Longao's whereabouts are unknown. It won't be easy to find him. When this matter was mentioned, both Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian felt a deep sense of helplessness. Both of them knew that it was impossible to find a person in a sea of people, let alone the Clear Sky Sect. Even the top 10 factions wouldn't be able to do it. Furthermore, if Longao wanted to hide, it would be even more difficult to find Longao. Grandfather, are we just going to let this matter rest? Shaking her head, Yang Yu said, I've already informed the Martial Artists Alliance. As long as the Martial Artists Alliance is willing to help, I'm confident that I can find Longao. Martial Artists Alliance? Of course, Yang Dingtian had full confidence in the Martial Artists Alliance. However, it was still unknown whether the Martial Artists Alliance would be willing to help. Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian couldn't figure out Longao's whereabouts even if they racked their brains. This was because Longao had never left the Clear Sky Sect and had always been on the Clear Sky Peak. As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. Longao released the news. In the following days, aside from studying the Clear Sky Formation, he spent most of his time rearranging the Boundless Tornado Illusory Destruction Formation and adding in some of the essence of the Clear Sky Formation. Longao spent a total of 3 days before he was barely able to set up the Everlasting Tornado Illusionary Formation. After some improvements, the power of the formation was much stronger than before. Great Heaven Peak. The night sky was filled with stars. Longao stood quietly by himself as he faced the wind and looked around the clear sky peak. After an unknown period of time, Longao suddenly muttered to himself, "It's time to make a move." As soon as his voice faded, Longao summoned 500,000 spirit corpse slaves from the dragon seal space. They scattered in all directions and rushed into the Clear Sky sect. The Clear Sky sect didn't expect Longao's sudden action. Furthermore, it was still late at night. From the beginning to the end, Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian didn't expect Longao to make a comeback. In their opinion, Longao had already left the Clear Sky sect and provoked them once. Unless there was something wrong with his head, he wouldn't come back again. But what was the result? Over 500,000 spirit army rushed into the Clear Sky peak like a tornado that instantly engulfed everyone. By the time Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian found out about this, it was already too late. The Clear Sky array had already been destroyed. With just their strength, it was impossible to deal with so many spirit beasts in an instant. The only thing the two of them could do was to hide all their remaining disciples and minimize their losses to the lowest possible level. "Grandfather, this must be Longao's doing. What should we do now?" Yang Yu's expression was extremely gloomy and unsightly. Even if the Clear Sky sect could survive this incident, the Clear Sky sect would still suffer great losses. There was only one person who caused all of this, and that was Longao. Yang Yu lowered her head and pondered. She said, "If I'm not wrong, Longao should be in the Clear Sky peak." Dingtian, summon the God-punishing sword. God-punishing sword? Hearing these three words, Yang Dingtian's body trembled. He spoke with fear. "Grandfather, back then, the old ancestor accidentally obtained the God-punishing sword. The God-punishing sword might be powerful, but no one could control it." Yang Dingtian let out a deep sigh. Yang Yu nodded and said helplessly, "Back then, if the old ancestor wasn't devoured by the God-punishing sword, I believe our Clear Sky sect would have become a superpower in the Sky Martial continent." Yang Yu looked around and didn't seem to be in a hurry. The God-punishing sword. Back then, the old ancestor said that the God-punishing sword was known as the #1 divine weapon in the world. Once the God-punishing sword was used, who could resist the power of the God-punishing sword? When the God-punishing sword was mentioned, the two of them felt a deep sense of helplessness. "Grandfather, back then, even the old ancestor couldn't control the God-punishing sword. Furthermore, he left a message that no matter what happened, the God-punishing sword was not to be used. Otherwise, once the God-punishing sword was used, the consequences would be unimaginable. As long as Longao isn't dead, he will always be a huge threat to us. If we can't pinpoint his exact location," Yang Yu didn't continue because the matter was already laid out before them. Of course, Yang Yu didn't care about Longao's strength. However, the army of spiritual beasts behind Longao was enough to destroy the Clear Sky sect. If Longao wasn't dead, Yang Yu didn't know when the same thing would happen. Although Yang Yu was certain that Longao was in the Clear Sky peak, he couldn't pinpoint his exact location. Out of desperation, Yang Yu decided to use the God-punishing sword even at the risk of being devoured by it. In fact, other than wanting to kill Longao, Yang Yu had another important reason for using the God-punishing sword. He wanted to use the God-punishing mirror to make the Clear Sky sect rise. Yang Yu was confident that once he could control the God-punishing sword, even if the Clear Sky sect couldn't become one of the top 10 superpowers, they could still sweep away second-rate superpowers. It wouldn't be difficult for them to reach the top in the future. Back then, the God-punishing sword was known as the #1 divine weapon in the world by the old ancestor. No one could defeat it. "Grandfather, have you really made up your mind?" Yang Yu nodded. Now that things had come to this, Yang Yu didn't hesitate. For the sake of the sect, for the sake of the sect's rise, he had to use the God-punishing sword. Follow me. Chapter 822. Clear Sky Sect. In a huge cave. The entire cave was red as if it was bathed in flames. In the middle of the cave, there was a huge blood pool. A sharp sword was stuck in the blood pool. Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian entered the cave carefully. They were on high alert as they were afraid that the blood in the cave would corrode them and turn them into puppets of the god-punishing sword. Grandfather, is this the legendary god-punishing sword? Yang Dingtian was incomparably shocked when he saw the blood-colored sharp sword that was inserted into the blood pool. He might be the master of the Clear Sky sect, but he had only heard of the god-punishing sword and had never seen it before. In other words, this was his first time seeing the legendary god-punishing sword. Yang Yu nodded and was a little absent-minded. She sighed and said, "Back then, if the old ancestor could control this divine sword, he would be able to rise to the top." Humph, grandfather. Back then, the old ancestor was extremely powerful, but he still couldn't control the god-punishing sword. You and I are worlds apart from the old ancestor. I'm afraid that we will have to control the god-punishing sword. Yang Dingtian didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Back then, the old ancestor was swallowed by the god-punishing sword and left behind a secret. What secret? Yang Dingtian wasn't a fool. He knew that the secret his grandfather was talking about was definitely related to the god-punishing sword. Yang Dingtian was looking forward to it and was pleasantly surprised. He knew that as long as his grandfather could control the god-punishing sword, the sect would be able to rise quickly. By then, the entire Sky Martial continent would know the name of the Clear Sky sect. Back then, the old ancestor used himself as an experiment. Although he was swallowed by the god-punishing sword, he understood the characteristics of the god-punishing sword. Yang Dingtian stared at the god-punishing sword in the blood pool. For so many years, no one dared to try it. But for the sake of the sect, I am prepared to try it myself. Yang Dingtian asked worriedly, "Grandpa, can you be more specific?" Back then, the old ancestor left a message. As long as I use myself as a guide and become the Jianling of the god-punishing sword, I will be able to control the god-punishing sword. Yang Dingtian seemed like he wanted to say something, but Yang Yu waved her hand and said, "I have decided on this matter. You can leave first." Yang Dingtian sighed deeply and didn't say anything else. He turned around and left, disappearing from the cave. Yang Yu was the only one left in the cave. "Ancestor, I will help you accomplish what you were unable to do back then. Jianling, I will definitely be able to wield the god-slaying sword." As she spoke, Yang Yu's body suddenly jumped into the blood pool, splashing blood-red water everywhere. The army of 500,000 spirit beasts almost swept through the entire Supreme Sky sect. In just one night, the army of 500,000 corpse demons destroyed the Supreme Sky sect. Even if Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian managed to salvage the situation in time, the losses were still severe. They lost about 70% of their disciples. It was imaginable how severe the losses were for the Supreme Sky sect. The next morning, the first light of dawn shone on the earth. A beautiful day had officially begun. However, this day was definitely a nightmare for the Clear Sky sect. In just one night, the Clear Sky sect had turned into a mass grave. Corpses were everywhere, and the land was littered with corpses. Yang Dingtian stood outside the main hall and looked at the mountain of corpses. His expression was terrifyingly gloomy. Yang Dingtian didn't say anything. The Supreme Sky sect's losses had caused the sect to drop from a third-rate faction to a fourth-rate faction. 70% of their disciples had perished. Such a loss had never happened before since ancient times. "Master, what should we do now?" Zhao Yu didn't know what to say. No one would have thought that Longao would do such a thing. It was simply impossible to guard against it. Zhao Yu knew the price of the sect's losses clearly. This was undoubtedly a heavy blow to the master. Yang Dingtian snorted. At this moment, he truly didn't know what to do. Until now, he still couldn't determine Longao's exact location. Even if he wanted to make a move, he didn't know how to make a move. "Zhao Yu, what are the arrangements for the rest of the disciples?" "Master, don't worry. I have already arranged the rest of the matters. Even if Longao's spirit beast army were to come, it wouldn't cause any trouble for us." Since the matter had already reached this stage, Yang Dingtian was truly unresigned. But so what if he was unresigned? Clear Sky Peak, inside the cave. Longao placed the 500,000 corpse demons into the Dragon Seal spatial ring. He had obtained a complete victory in this battle. From the beginning to the end, the other party couldn't even determine his exact location. Master, do you still want to continue? Longao waved his hand and said, No need. If I'm not mistaken, the Supreme Sky Sect is already prepared. If we continue at this moment, we won't be able to obtain any benefits. Longao was 100% certain about this point. The Supreme Sky Sect had suffered a disastrous loss in this battle. If the Supreme Sky Sect didn't take any precautions, then the Supreme Sky Sect must be out of their mind. It was precisely because of this that Longao had already decided to put this matter aside for now. He would wait until the Supreme Sky Sect relaxed before continuing. The next time, he would immediately eliminate the Supreme Sky Sect. Long Fu didn't say anything because he was going to listen to Longao's arrangements. Sitting quietly in the cave, Longao was preparing to activate the array. He wanted to see how powerful the array was. At this moment, Long Fu suddenly communicated with Longao and spoke urgently, Master, hurry up and enter the Dragon Seal spatial ring. Longao, who was preparing to activate the array, suddenly heard Long Fu's anxious voice. He was very curious and didn't know what had happened. Long Fu, what happened? Longao wasn't a fool. It was rare to see such an expression on Long Fu's face. If it wasn't for some earth-shattering event, he believed that Long Fu wouldn't be like this. It was precisely because of this that the more Long Fu acted like this, the more uncertain young Ding Tian was. Master, don't ask anything. Otherwise, it will be too late. Seeing Long Fu so frightened, Longao became even more curious. However, Longao didn't speak any nonsense. No matter what, he had to enter the Dragon Seal spatial ring first. As for why it was like this, he would ask after entering the Dragon Seal spatial ring. Just as Longao was about to enter the Dragon Seal spatial ring, his face suddenly changed and he looked around in horror. At this moment, there was a layer of terrifying bloody aura around him. He didn't know what had happened. Longao didn't dare to be careless and immediately entered the Dragon Seal spatial ring. However, what happened next made Longao truly terrified. He realized that he couldn't enter no matter what. He couldn't even contact Long Fu. This kind of situation had never happened before. Longao had never seen such a terrifying bloody aura. He didn't dare to stay any longer. Just as Longao was about to turn around and leave, a terrifying bloody sword aura instantly slashed over. Chapter 8:23. The speed of the bloody sword chi was simply too fast. It was as fast as lightning. Under normal circumstances, Longao could easily dodge the sword chi. But the current situation was completely different. The power of the bloody sword chi was too terrifying. It even cut off the connection between Longao and the Dragon Seal space. One could imagine how powerful the sword chi was. Boom! The sword chi struck Longao's body. In an instant, Longao spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was like a kite with a broken string as he fiercely flew out. At this moment, Yang Yu suddenly appeared. At this moment, Yang Yu seemed to have undergone an earth-shattering change. Her body emitted a terrifying bloody aura. Looking coldly, Yang Yu didn't continue to pursue. Yang Yu was confident that Longao couldn't escape. Boom! With a loud sound, Longao's body fiercely smashed into the wall. With a rebound, Longao crashed down again. Climbing up with difficulty, Longao felt that his internal organs had shifted. If it wasn't for the protection of the desolate divine body, he believed that he would have been swallowed by the sword chi at this moment. There was no need to guess. Longao instantly understood what had happened. Yang Yu. Looking at Yang Yu in front of him, Longao's face was very ugly, especially the blood-colored sword in Yang Yu's hand. Longao could clearly feel how terrifying this blood-colored divine sword was. Without a doubt, the reason why he was cut off from the Dragon Seal space was all because of this bloody sword. Humph, Longao, to think that you would have such a day. Yang Yu took a step forward. The aura on her body grew stronger. This time, controlling the god-punishing sword, Yang Yu's cultivation had also increased. With the increase in her strength, coupled with the god-punishing sword, Even killing enemies above her level was an easy task. Longao, hand over the spiritual beast army, and I can let you die a painful death. With a cold laugh, Longao looked at the sharp sword in Yang Yu's hand and said, Yang Yu, I really want to know the origin of this sword in your hand. Holding the sword tightly, Yang Yu said proudly, seeing that you're about to die, I'm not afraid to tell you that this sword is the #1 divine weapon in the world. The #1 divine artifact in the world? God-slaying sword? Longao didn't know if the God-slaying sword was the #1 divine weapon in the world, but he had personally experienced its power. It was too terrifying. Longao had a feeling that he wouldn't even have the chance to attack in front of the God-slaying sword. Before Yang Yu could speak, Longao's body suddenly disappeared. Yang Yu wasn't in a hurry to give chase. She stood coldly in the cave and sneered, I'd like to see if you can escape from me. Yang Yu's body suddenly disappeared. At this moment, Yang Yu borrowed the power of the God-slaying sword to envelop the entire Clear Heaven Peak. It was almost impossible for Longao to escape. Because of this, Yang Yu wasn't in a hurry at all. Clear Heaven Peak, in front of the main hall. Kong Chun and Kong Chong rushed over aggressively. The reason why they were so confident this time was that they had brought a spirit-focused martial artist with them. Both of them knew that Yang Yu's cultivation had just broken through to the empty God realm. There were 5 realms of the divine path, and the difference between each realm was huge. They couldn't be compared. Because of this, the two were so confident. According to the previous situation, Black Wind Valley was suppressing the Clear Sky sect. However, because of Yang Yu's counterattack, the Clear Sky sect was suppressing the Black Wind Valley. Moreover, the Martial Artists Alliance had turned against the Clear Sky sect and supported the Clear Sky sect. All of this made the Black Wind Valley very unhappy. The two had done everything they could to find a spirit-focused Supreme Tao cultivator. They were prepared to deal a blow to the Supreme Sky sect. This way, the Martial Arts Alliance would still support the Black Wind Valley. At that time, the Black Wind Valley would be able to suppress the Supreme Sky sect. Kong Chun, Kong Chong, you've gone too far. How dare you challenge the Clear Sky sect's prestige? You're courting death. Others might not know about his grandfather's situation, but Yang Dingtian was very clear about it. However, since the other party had brought a spirit-focused martial artist with them, Yang Dingtian was more or less afraid. Ha ha ha, Yang Dingtian, we're here today to show the Clear Sky sect that the Black Wind Valley is the overlord here. You're not qualified to talk to us. Call Yang Yu out. Before Yang Dingtian could speak, Longao's figure suddenly appeared. Seeing Longao, everyone was shocked. However, Yang Dingtian was extremely furious. He immediately prepared to attack Longao. However, at this moment, Yang Yu's figure appeared. She stood quietly in front of the main hall and looked at everyone coldly. She said, Longao, do you really think you can leave safely? After hearing Yang Yu's words, Longao didn't continue to run. He endured the pain in his body and stopped. He didn't continue to care about Longao. Yang Yu turned and looked at Yang Dingtian. She asked, what happened? Grandfather, Kong Chen and Kong Chong are going to deal with us? He shook his head with a face full of contempt. In Yang Yu's eyes, she didn't even put these people in her eyes. She didn't even give the spirit-focused martial artist a chance to speak. Yang Yu slowly raised the God-punishing sword in her hand. Yang Yu wants to make a move? Seeing Yang Yu preparing to make a move, Kong Chun and Kong Chong looked at her with disdain. In their opinion, Yang Yu's strength wasn't a match for their spirit-focused martial artist. Taking the initiative to make a move was equivalent to courting death. The spirit-focused martial artist didn't expect that Yang Yu would still choose to make a move under such circumstances. With a roar, just as the spirit-focused martial artist was about to launch a sure-kill attack, the God-punishing sword in Yang Yu's hand slashed down. The horrifying bloody sword Qi seemed to be able to devour everything. Before the spirit-focused martial artist could react, he was already devoured by the sword Qi. Killing a spirit-focused martial artist in a single move? What exactly happened? Kong Chun and Kong Chong looked at the scene blankly. They didn't know what was going on. Didn't Yang Yu just break through to the spirit-focused martial artist realm? How could she kill a spirit-focused martial artist in a single move? Sword. The two of them weren't fools. Of course, they could feel the power of the sword in Yang Yu's hand. It was too horrifying. Yang Yu relied on this sword to kill the spirit-focused martial artist in a single move. Senior Yang Yu, I don't want to listen to too much nonsense. On account of the martial artists' alliance, I will spare your lives. But from now on, all of you, including the Black Wind Valley, are my Clear Sky Sect's dogs. Watchdogs. If you dare to provoke me again, I will destroy your Black Wind Valley. Even if they were unhappy, the situation had already reached this stage. The two of them didn't know what to say or do. They could only accept it. The two of them nodded in fear and said, Senior Yang Yu, don't worry. From now on, our Black Wind Valley will be the Clear Sky Sect's watchdogs. We won't dare to be disloyal. Chapter 8:24. Since things had come to this, the two of them did not dare to say anything more. They turned and left. The two of them stood quietly in front of Great Heaven Peak. Their faces were extremely gloomy. Yang Yu's strength is so terrifying. It will be difficult for us to deal with Heavenly Sect in the future. Kong Chong waved his hand and said with a cold smile, God-killing sword. The #1 divine weapon in the world. God-killing sword? Kong Chun seemed to have guessed something. He said in disbelief, impossible. Heavenly Sect's old ancestor was devoured by the God-killing sword and died. The whereabouts of the God-killing sword are unknown. After thinking for a while, Kong Chun continued, the top 10 superforces tried their best to find the God-killing sword, but to no avail. I can say for sure that the sword in Yang Yu's hand is the God-killing sword. Kong Chong was 100% sure about this. Heavenly Sect will definitely be destroyed if this news spreads. If that was the case, Heavenly Sect would really be finished. Kong Chun was surprised. After all, with Yang Yu's current strength and the God-killing sword, Black Wind Valley would not be able to contend with her. Let's spread the news first. Okay. Great Heaven Peak, in front of the main hall. Longao looked coldly. He endured the pain in his body and said with a cold smile, God-killing sword. He sighed deeply in his heart. Longao did not expect the God-killing sword to be so powerful. Even Long Fu could not deal with it. The #1 divine weapon in the world indeed lived up to its name. Since things had already come to this, Longao knew that it would be difficult for him to leave. Longao, do you think you can still leave safely? Yang Yu did not attack immediately. In her opinion, Longao was already a turtle in a jar. What do you think? Ha ha ha. Hearing Longao's words, Yang Yu laughed as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Longao, do you know the God-killing sword in my hand? Longao did not say anything. He knew what Yang Yu meant. Deity-slaying sword. Just now, Yang Yu had used the deity-slaying sword to kill a spirit-focused cultivator. This in itself was enough to show just how powerful the deity-slaying sword was. Longao, the God-slaying sword, known as the #1 divine weapon in the world. Back then, our ancestor used this sword to dominate the world. Waving his hand, Longao said impatiently, cut the crap. Longao could clearly sense the difference in Yang Yu. He had already guessed that if the Supreme Sky Sect really had such a powerful divine sword, why didn't they take it out earlier? There was definitely something fishy going on. Yang Yu, so what if you have the God-slaying sword? I can tell you clearly that you don't have the qualifications to keep me here. Do you believe me? The more Longao behaved like this, the more serious Yang Yu became. If it was someone else, Yang Yu wouldn't care at all. However, he was still wary of Longao. After all, Longao had too many secrets. If Longao could run away like this, then he could just go and die. Laughing coldly, Yang Yu didn't continue to talk nonsense. He slowly raised the deity-slaying sword in his hand. One sword. Just one sword. Yang Yu was confident that with the help of the deity-slaying sword, he could easily kill his opponent with one sword. This was the power of the deity-slaying sword. Not to mention a mere Saint Emperor, even a spirit-focused cultivator could be killed with one sword. But then, a shocking scene happened. An unparalleled bloody aura suddenly exploded from Longao's body. It was even stronger than the deity-slaying sword. It instantly covered the bloody aura emitted by the deity-slaying sword. Feeling this powerful aura, Yang Yu didn't know what was going on. He didn't dare to be careless and still slashed out fiercely with his sword. The sword chi instantly cut through the air and shot towards Longao. However, Longao didn't move. He just looked coldly at Yang Yu. Blood pool. In the end, Longao had no choice but to use the power of the blood pool. The power of the blood pool's backlash was too terrifying. Therefore, Longao wouldn't use the blood pool unless he had no other choice. But Yang Yu had the deity-slaying sword. Even the old ancestor might not be able to withstand the power of the deity-slaying sword, let alone him. It was because of this that Longao had no choice but to use the power of the blood pool. Blood pool, deity-slaying sword. The blood pool and the deity-slaying sword collided fiercely. A terrifying aura instantly enveloped the entire Great Heaven Peak. If not for the fact that their target wasn't anyone else, the Great Heaven Sect would have been destroyed. Longao, don't you dare. At this moment, Yang Yu was completely flustered. The terrified Yang Yu immediately tried to retrieve the deity-slaying sword. He could lose his life, but he couldn't let anything happen to the deity-slaying sword. But in the end, Yang Yu realized in horror that no matter what he did, the deity-slaying sword didn't seem to listen to him. What happened? Longao didn't say a word. He stood on the spot coldly. The power of the blood pool had already engulfed him. Longao had merged with the blood pool again. In other words, Longao could use all the power of the blood pool. Retrieve. Longao roared. Then, in front of Yang Yu's horrified eyes, the deity-slaying sword forcefully left his hand and disappeared with a swoosh. It was kept by Longao. Longao, return me the deity-slaying sword, he sneered. Longao held the deity-slaying sword and swung it. The terrifying sword energy seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian didn't dare to go head-on against it. With just one swing, Longao's power was completely depleted. He had just been severely injured by Yang Yu. Now, he was facing the backlash of the deity-slaying sword. In addition to the threat of the blood pool, Longao knew that as long as Yang Yu didn't die, he would definitely die. Just as expected, Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian didn't die. If Longao could merge with the deity-slaying sword, then even if there was a huge difference in their strength, this swing of the sword would be enough to kill the two of them. In the absence of fusion, Longao's outcome could be imagined. Was he going to be killed just like that? Looking at the young man in front of them, Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian still had lingering fears. They didn't dare to make a move immediately, but they still watched carefully. Longao, hand over the deity-slaying sword. With just you? As he spoke, the deity-slaying sword in Longao's hand moved again. The two of them were so frightened that they quickly retreated. After all, the power of the deity-slaying sword was obvious. Who knew if Longao was retreating in order to advance? Ha ha ha, Longao, stop pretending. I already know that you're at the end. Hand over the deity-slaying sword obediently. If you're willing to kneel down and beg me, I can spare your life. Things had already come to this point. Longao obviously didn't believe that Yang Yu would let him go. Yang Yu, I've already said that you don't have the right to keep me here. As he spoke, Longao took out the space-time wheel from his chest. The corner of his mouth slowly curled into a cold smile. Chapter 825. Space-time wheel. How could Longao not know what space-time wheel meant? Long Fu had already said that unless it was a last resort, one should never use space-time wheel. However, things had already come to this stage. Without using space-time wheel, there was no way to leave. As for why God's slaying sword couldn't kill him and was even kept by him, Longao was enlightened. The reason was simple. Long Fu, who he couldn't communicate with, suddenly contacted him and said that he could borrow the power of the blood pool to deal with God's slaying sword. Longao was shocked, but he didn't ask further. According to Long Fu, God's slaying sword and blood pool were originally one. He could make use of this opportunity to keep God's slaying sword in the blood pool. Longao didn't ask further as the situation was urgent. If he were to let his guard down, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Longao, Do you think you can leave this place safely just because you have God-slaying sword? Yang Yu sneered. In his opinion, Longao was simply courting death. Even he couldn't control God-slaying sword. He had to rely on the experience left behind by his ancestor and sacrifice himself to barely be able to use God-slaying sword. He could be devoured by God-slaying sword at any time. Longao could control God-slaying sword? No matter if others believed it or not, he would never believe it. Yang Dingtian and Yang Yu walked towards Longao step by step. They could make a move at any time as things had come to this stage. Longao had to die and God-slaying sword couldn't be lost. You don't have the chance. Longao borrowed the power from Long Fu and immediately activated Space-Time Wheel. According to Long Fu, Space-Time Wheel was a space-divine equipment and was extremely powerful. It could even change the space-time tunnel to return to the past and future. However, Longao knew clearly that with his current strength, even with Long Fu and Dragon Seal's power, it was impossible to do so. In other words, the only thing he could do was to change the space-time dislocation and use Space-Time Wheel to forcefully leave Great Heaven Peak. As for the consequences of doing so, it was unknown. A terrifying aura instantly enveloped Longao. The space-time wheel forcefully broke through space-time, causing space-time to become chaotic. Just like that, Longao disappeared from his original spot. Looking at the empty ground in front of them, both Yang Yu and Yang Dingtian looked as though they had seen a ghost. What happened just now? The two of them still had lingering fears because they could clearly sense that the power that had suddenly appeared was far too terrifying. It was as if it could destroy everything. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, the two of them were unable to sense what attribute this power was. Grandpa, what should we do now? Of course, Yang Dingtian knew what had happened. Although he didn't know how Longao did it, he knew that Longao had indeed left with the God-punishing sword. The God-punishing sword was the supreme treasure of the Supreme Sky Sect. Back then, it was because of the God-punishing sword that the old ancestor fell. Otherwise, the Supreme Sky Sect would not have fallen to such a state. Follow me. The God-punishing sword was taken away by Longao. Yang Yu immediately brought Yang Dingtian to the cave and said, "The God-punishing sword has been lost. As long as Longao doesn't show himself, it will be difficult for us to find the whereabouts of the God-punishing sword." Yang Dingtian sighed helplessly. Now that things had come to this, he didn't know what to do. I will enter the blood pool now. This is the only way to locate Longao's position. Dingtian, from now on, the sect will be in your hands. Remember, unless it is absolutely necessary, do not make any enemies. Everything will wait for my return. Understood. Yang Yu had already been devoured by the God-punishing sword. If it wasn't for Longao snatching the God-punishing sword away in time, Yang Yu would have become a puppet of the God-punishing sword. Originally, Yang Yu could have escaped this calamity. However, in order to take back the God-punishing sword, Yang Yu jumped back into the blood pool. Without the suppression of the God-punishing sword, the power of the blood pool instantly corroded Yang Yu. Unknowingly, Yang Yu became a puppet of the blood pool. In other words, the blood pool reappeared in the world. Tianwu Continent. Fire Beacon City, a city that was neither big nor small. Stone Town was one of the many small towns in Fire Beacon City. Its power was enough to rank in the top 3. Around 5 miles outside of Stone Town was a mountain peak. In front of a cliff, there was an extremely dispirited youth. He had a face full of despair. What kind of man am I? I can't even protect my own wife. What's the point of living? This youth was Han Lin. He was the young master of one of Stone Town's 2 great families, the Han family. However, this young master was a bit special. His parents had died early, and his talent was lacking. In a continent that revered martial arts, without strength or talent, he would be discriminated against, ridiculed, and despised. He had no one to rely on, and he was called trash by everyone. Han Lin had always endured it. However, his childhood sweetheart had just been snatched away by the Wu family's genius disciple, Wu Chou. Perhaps it was because of that blow that Han Lin couldn't think straight. He went to the cliff, preparing to end his life. I'm leaving. What is it? Han Lin, who was just about to jump off the cliff, suddenly saw a black shadow fall from the sky. Before he could even figure out what was going on, he was ruthlessly struck by that black shadow. Ouch! Han Lin was in so much pain that he hovered between life and death. He was only at the third sky of the Hotian realm. Han Lin's physical defense wasn't even as good as a rock. He was already thankful that he hadn't been smashed to death. What the hell is that? Fiercely pushing it away, Han Lin stared at the figure in front of him. He really didn't know what to say, because he had never thought that the thing that had almost smashed him to death was actually a person who had appeared out of thin air, a person who had fallen from the sky. Who are you? Looking at the motionless youth lying on the ground, Han Lin didn't know what to do. This was because he had never seen fiery red hair that was like blood. Where is this? Hearing the person on the ground suddenly speak, Han Lin was startled. However, Han Lin also knew what had happened. He slowly squatted down and whispered, "How do you feel? This is Stone Town." Stone Town? Longao didn't know what kind of place Stone Town was. His head hurt, and his body felt like it was going to fall apart and explode at any time. The space-time wheel. He let out a long sigh of relief in his heart. Longao was very clear in his heart that this time he had forcefully used the space-time wheel. It was simply fortunate that he hadn't been killed by the space-time wheel. After all, according to Long Fu, with his current strength, even with the help of the dragon seal, it was impossible to forcefully use the space-time wheel. In other words, he had saved his life. Chapter 8:26. He endured the pain that came from his body. Longao sat up with difficulty. The space-time wheel was too powerful. It could even distort space-time. If he had not experienced it himself, he would not have believed it. Longao knew that if he had not borrowed the power of the space-time wheel, he would have died in the Supreme Sky Sect. Who are you? Han Lin was a gentle person. Otherwise, he would not have been bullied by everyone. Although he was almost dead, Han Lin still said, "You can call me Han Lin. I am a disciple of the Han family in Stone Town." Who are you? Why did you fall from the sky? Longao, I am being chased by my enemies. I don't know why. Longao would not tell him the truth. It was not that he was afraid that Han Lin would leak it, but it was better to avoid trouble. You wanted to jump off the cliff? Since things had come to this, Han Lin did not hide anything. He nodded and said, "That's right. I was about to jump off the cliff, but I was almost dead because of you. Who did I offend?" "Little brother, I am seriously injured now. Can you guard me for a while? I need to recover first." Longao felt helpless. First, he was seriously injured by Yangyu. Then, he was almost drained by the god-killing sword. Fortunately, Long Fu helped him. Otherwise, he would have died. If it was someone else, they would not have agreed to help Longao. He had died peacefully, but Han Lin came to disturb him for no reason and even smashed him half to death. Anyone would be unhappy. However, Han Lin was very kind. He glanced at Longao, who was on the verge of collapse, and stood up with difficulty. He sighed deeply and hurriedly went over to support him. He said, "All right, it won't be too late for me to jump off the cliff after your injuries have improved." F***CK Longao cursed in his heart. He felt helpless. He didn't know what was going on with Han Lin. What was going on that made him want to commit suicide? However, his injuries were very serious. If he did not recover in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. It might even affect his future cultivation and improvement. Han Lin found a relatively secluded cave and gently helped Longao into the cave. "Longao, you stay here and recuperate. I'll go find you something to eat." "Thank you." After Han Lin left, Longao immediately entered a state of cultivation, which was the so-called recovery state. The injury this time was extremely serious. It was the most serious injury in Longao's history. Not losing his life was already a blessing in disguise. Because of this, Longao did not dare to be careless. Just like that, Longao began to recuperate in the cave. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. During these 7 days, it could be said that Han Lin had not left Longao's side at all times. He had also hunted spirit beasts for Longao. Longao admired Han Lin very much. Regardless of his talent, His character alone was enough to surpass thousands of troops. Inside the cave, sitting quietly on the ground, Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief. Although his injuries had not fully recovered, after 7 days of recuperation, he had recovered 1/10 of his injuries. At the very least, he looked no different from a normal person. In the dragon seal space, Longao found Long Fu and asked straightforwardly, "Long Fu, what happened? Why was the blood pool able to take away the Godslayer's sword?" Looking at the Godslayer's sword in the blood pool in the dragon seal space, Longao still could not figure out what had happened. According to Yangyu, the Godslayer's sword was the most powerful weapon in the world. He had seen with his own eyes how Yangyu had used the Godslayer's sword to kill a spirit-focused martial artist. One could imagine how powerful the Godslayer's sword was. Even so, the Godslayer's sword was still taken away by the blood pool in the end, indirectly helping him. "Master, you're really lucky this time. If not for Yangyu's low strength, you wouldn't have been able to leave the Clear Sky sect." Longao shrugged helplessly and even felt a little emotional. Yangyu's strength was low? But one had to know that Yangyu was a genuine deity realm martial artist. She was already considered a very powerful existence. But even such a powerful martial artist, in Long Fu's eyes, it was just that her strength was too weak. "Master, I can tell you this. The Godslayer's sword was born from the blood pool. When the dragon seal suppressed the blood pool, the Godslayer's sword took the opportunity to leave and its whereabouts are unknown." Hearing this, Longao was shocked. This was because Longao would never have thought that the Godslayer's sword was born from the blood pool. If Long Fu had not said this personally, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. "Long Fu, the Godslayer's sword was taken away by the blood pool. Does this mean that from now on, I can own the Godslayer's sword?" Shaking his head, Long Fu's expression was grave. "Master, if you don't use the power of the blood pool, I have a way for you to control the Godslayer's sword. But now, how about it?" His heart skipped a beat as a bad premonition arose. Could it be that Long Fu had no way for him to control the Godslayer's sword? If that was the case, he would not be satisfied. No matter what, the Godslayer's sword was the #1 artifact in the world. Yangyu could use the Godslayer's sword to kill a divine-focused martial artist. If he could control the Godslayer's sword, wouldn't he be able to kill enemies above his level? "Master, you used the power of the blood pool by force this time. I have already used up all my power to suppress the blood pool. But because of this, I do not have any extra power to control the Godslayer's sword and let it enter the blood pool." Longao did not seem to understand. "Master, you can use the Godslayer's sword in the future, but still, do not use it unless you have no other choice. Because the Godslayer's sword has already entered the blood pool. Once you use the Godslayer's sword, the blood pool will corrode your body along with the Godslayer's sword. At that time, even I will be helpless." Longao was shocked. He did not expect that things would develop to this point. "Long Fu, I would like to ask, if I use the Godslayer's sword by force, what level of martial artist can I kill?" This was the point that he was most concerned about. Longao was very clear that entering the Sky Martial Continent this time was very dangerous. Other than the Long family, there was also the matter of Yin Yu and Aoshue. With his current strength, it would not be easy to kill his way out. If the Godslayer's sword could become his trump card, then even if he had to risk the risk of being devoured by the blood pool, it would be an absolutely beneficial thing for him. Regarding this matter, Longao was also a little scared. Long Fu had already said that this time, he had used the power of the dragon seal to barely suppress the blood pool. Otherwise, he would have already been devoured by the blood pool. No matter what, Longao was very clear that if he used the blood pool a third time, there would be no one to help him. The consequences would be unimaginable. "I'm not too sure about that. However, based on Master's strength and situation, once he uses the God-punishing sword and the blood pool, it won't be a problem for him to kill a great emperor or even a titled great emperor." Chapter 827. He was overjoyed. "Long Fu, how about dealing with a supreme Tao warrior?" "I don't think so, but I don't know." Longao seemed to have thought of something and immediately asked, "Long Fu, Why didn't Long Tian use the god-slaying sword to deal with Tian Dao? The power of the god-slaying sword was obvious. If Yang Yu could use the god-slaying sword to kill a supreme Dao warrior, wouldn't Long Tian be able to kill Tian Dao with the help of the god-slaying sword? If the god-slaying sword was still around, Tian Dao would be dead. Long Ao didn't continue asking as he already knew what had happened. In the end, he was lucky to be able to escape. Master, although the blood pool took away the god-slaying sword this time, if I'm not wrong, I'm guessing that the blood pool's remaining power is in the Clear Sky sect. Hearing Long Fu's words, Long Ao was shocked. As for what the remaining power of the blood pool meant, Long Ao naturally knew very well. Long Fu, what do you mean? The Clear Sky sect lost the god-slaying sword this time, and they won't let it go. Therefore, I believe that Yang Yu will absorb the remaining power of the blood pool. In that case, Yang Yu will be able to locate you. Lin Fan cursed in his heart. If Yang Yu was able to locate him, wouldn't it mean that he would never have a peaceful day in the future? Long Fu, what should I do? Different situations call for different actions. Long Fu shrugged helplessly as he couldn't do anything about it. However, Master, even if Yang Yu can absorb the remaining power of the blood pool and locate you, she will be devoured by the remaining power of the blood pool and become its puppet. Blood demon puppet. Seeing Long Fu nod, Long Ao felt helpless. He had seen the power of the blood demon puppet with his own eyes. He would be lying if he said that he wasn't afraid. Long Ao didn't continue to think about it as he knew that even if Yang Yu wanted to absorb the remaining power of the blood pool, it wouldn't be done in a short time. Therefore, the only thing he needed to do now was to recover from his injuries as soon as possible. Even if Yang Yu really locked onto his position, he would still have the strength to run. He stood up and left the cave, stretching his body. Long Ao, how are you? Seeing Long Ao suddenly come out, Han Lin was immediately happy. After these few days of getting along, Han Lin had already regarded Long Ao as a friend. Seeing that Long Ao was fine, of course he was very happy. Shaking his head, Long Ao said, "Not yet, but thank you anyway." Although Long Ao didn't say it out loud, he had already acknowledged Han Lin as a friend in his heart. There's no need to be so polite between friends. Coming to Han Lin's side, Long Ao said indifferently, "Since you treat me as a friend, then shouldn't you tell me about you? Why did you jump off the cliff?" Towards enemies, Long Ao was decisive in killing, but towards friends, he was loyal and righteous. Han Lin sighed deeply. Since things had already come to this point, there was no need for him to continue hiding the truth. He recounted everything that had happened. After hearing out, Long Ao also roughly understood what happened to Han Lin's body. Wu family? Sneering, Long Ao roughly understood the situation in Stone Town. There were only two major families in Stone Town. Other than the Han family that Han Lin was in, there was the Wu family. "Let's go. I also want to go to Stone Town." Without waiting for Han Lin to speak, Long Ao continued, "If we're friends, then don't say anything. Also, if you want to jump off the cliff, wait until I leave Stone Town." Sighing deeply again, Han Lin helplessly followed Long Ao to Stone Town. "Han Lin, I really want to ask you, how does your lover treat you?" Han Lin stammered. "Speak." Long Ao, "I don't want to say too much about this matter. Anyway, things have already reached this point." Han Lin clearly didn't want to say too much, and Long Ao didn't continue to ask. Since they were friends, there was no need to say anything. Stone Town. There were two major families, the Wu family and the Han family. The Han family that Han Lin was in had a strict hierarchy, and talent and strength spoke. Because of this, Han Lin's talent and strength were the lowest, and he didn't have any status. He was mocked and looked down upon everywhere. The most important problem was that Han Lin didn't have parents. "Long Ao, do you want to follow me to the family?" Han Lin was very helpless because with his status in the family, if he brought Long Ao with him, he would definitely be mocked. It was because he saw Long Ao as a friend that Han Lin didn't want to bring Long Ao back to the family. Long Ao obviously knew about this. "No, I'm going to Stone Town this time mainly to stroll around and help you take back your lover." Was that possible? Not only was the other party a super genius of the Wu family, but he was also very powerful. It would be easier said than done to take back his lover. Seeing that Han Lin didn't say anything, Longao smiled and asked, Han Lin, do you want to become powerful? Han Lin nodded. Although he didn't say anything, it would be a lie to say that he didn't want to become stronger. Without wasting any more words, Longao brought Han Lin to a rather luxurious inn and stayed there for the time being. He had already decided that he had to settle Han Lin's matter when he entered Stone Town this time. No matter what, friends were still friends. Han Lin, I want to ask, what realm is this genius of the Wu family? Wuchou? Consolidation realm. The consolidation realm was nothing in Longao's eyes, but he knew very well that a consolidation realm warrior was already considered a very powerful existence in an ordinary town. If that was the case, then the overall strength of Stone Town shouldn't be too strong. Longao, I know you have good intentions, but the Wu family is an existence that can't be provoked. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Longao obviously knew what Han Lin was going to do. He was speechless. He didn't know what Han Lin was thinking. Why did he always want to jump off a cliff? Han Lin, I have a way to raise your cultivation in the shortest time possible. Han Lin didn't believe it at all. What a joke. He knew his own talent very well. Not to mention in the shortest time possible, he might not be able to do it even in a few years or decades. With some despair, Han Lin said, if I can't even protect the person I love, what's the point of living? But to be able to make a friend like you before I die, it's worth it. F***ck Longao really wanted to curse. He had seen foolish people, but he had never seen such a foolish person. Longao said directly, Han Lin, I can guarantee you that within a month, I can make your cultivation surpass Wu Chao's. But you'll have to pay a huge price. It depends on whether you're willing or not. Chapter 828. Of course I'm willing. Unless Han Lin was an idiot, he wouldn't say no. But Han Lin was self-aware. Even if he had good cultivation conditions, he wouldn't be able to reach his goal with his talent. When his parents were still alive, they had given him a lot of help. But what was the result? He still achieved nothing. He was in his 20s, but he was still at the third sky of the Hotian realm. Looking at Han Lin in front of him, Longao felt helpless. Han Lin's lack of confidence was accumulated over a long period of time. It seemed impossible to eliminate it instantly. But Longao treated Han Lin as a true friend. So, no matter what, he had to help Han Lin. Longao, can you really help me? Seeing that Longao didn't speak, Han Lin asked tentatively. Nodding, Longao smiled mysteriously and said, although I can help you, you have to be confident and want to improve in a short time. Longao didn't continue, but the meaning of his words was clear. Things had already come to this point. Even if Han Lin didn't believe it, he could only try. No matter how difficult it is, I will persevere. Longao was 100% confident about this. With regards to Han Lin's situation, Longao had already thought about it before. It was almost impossible for Han Lin to cultivate and improve under normal circumstances. Even with his help, it was still impossible to do so. What should he do? After thinking about it, Longao finally came up with a solution. Inheritance. Han Lin, you are my friend. I'll be honest. With your talent, even if you have a great opportunity, your future achievements will be limited. Nodding, Han Lin wasn't surprised at all. He already knew this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been stuck in the Xiantian realm for so many years. But now I can forcibly let you get the inheritance and help you refine it as fast as possible. But unless you have a higher inheritance, your cultivation will stay at the same level for the rest of your life. Stay at the same level. As long as it was not a very high realm, most people would not agree to this. What kind of joke was this? To be stuck in the same spot for the rest of one's life. This was absolutely the most speechless thing for a cultivator. However, Han Lin didn't even think about it. He nodded and agreed. I agree. As long as my cultivation can surpass Wu Chao's for a short period of time, I'm willing to do anything. In that case, let's begin immediately. It was a spirit beast at the venerable stage. According to Han Lin, the most powerful people in Stone Town were the elders of the two families, but they were only at the earthly emperor realm. Because of this, Longao directly chose a spirit beast of the void realm. Once Han Lin completely refined it, his cultivation would directly break through to the venerable realm. At that time, Han Lin would be the strongest person in Stone Town. Longao had already thought about it. Even though Han Lin's cultivation base would remain stagnant after refining the inheritance, as long as he could obtain a higher level inheritance, his cultivation base would continue to rise. Therefore, he only needed to help Han Lin obtain a higher level inheritance in the future. Longao didn't lack Spirit Beast inheritances because there were many Spirit Beast inheritances in the Dragon Seal space. They had always been kept by Long Fu in order to help people quickly increase their strength. Longao both liked and disliked Han Lin's character. Han Lin was too kind, which wasn't necessarily a good thing for a cultivator. It was precisely because of this that Longao prepared a cruel and vicious spirit beast for Han Lin. He hoped that after Han Lin refined the inheritance, his personality would change slightly. Otherwise, even if Han Lin broke through to the Nihility realm, he would still suffer in the future. It had to be said that Longao was very loyal to his friends. In the following time, Han Lin began to accept the inheritance. As for Longao, he used the powerful pressure of the Dragon Seal to force Han Lin to quickly refine it. In other words, he sped it up 100 times. Others might not be able to do it, but Long Fu could do it easily. In 10 days, Han Lin had already entered the final stage. Longao didn't stay in the inn. He left Long Ming behind and left because he wanted to see the legendary Han Ing. According to Han Lin, he and Han Ing were childhood sweethearts. They grew up together, but his status was far inferior to Han Ying's. Because of this, their union was opposed by countless people. At this time, the genius disciple of the Wu family, Wu Chou, suddenly took advantage of the situation and snatched Han Ing away. Actually, although Han Lin didn't say it, Longao had already guessed it. If he was not mistaken, Han Ying's departure was due to an external reason. Han Ing herself looked down on Han Lin, which was why she left. Otherwise, if the two of them were inseparable, how many people would be able to break them apart? Stone Town. Other than the Wu family and the Han family, the real overlord was the Martial Artists Alliance. As one of the 10 overlords, the Martial Artists Alliance's strength and foundation were obvious. The Martial Artists Alliance in Stone Town was only one of its branches. Longao didn't have a good impression of the Martial Artists Alliance. Whether it was what happened in the Jeju continent or the Martial Artists Alliance supporting the Black Wind Valley and the Heavenly Sect, it was obvious that they were against him. However, Longao knew that with his current strength, he was no match for the Martial Artists Alliance. Because of this, Longao wouldn't provoke the branches of the Martial Artists Alliance. After asking around, Longao had a general understanding of Wu Chao's situation. As a genius disciple of the Wu family, Wu Chou had a good character, but he was competitive and liked to fight. A year ago, he fell in love with Han Ing and successfully took her away from Han Lin. As a genius disciple of the Wu family, Wu Chao's favorite place to go was the Wu family's martial arts field. Other than fighting, he would cultivate and spend the rest of his time with Han Ing. Longao knew that Wu Chou must have really liked Han Ing, but as a friend, he had to help Han Lin. Back at the inn, after 10 days of refining the inheritance, Han Lin's cultivation had successfully broken through to the venerable realm. However, Longao knew that Han Lin was different from other venerables. After all, Han Lin had forcefully broken through, so it was difficult for him to stabilize his realm. However, Han Lin's situation was different. Longao knew that if this matter wasn't resolved soon, Han Lin would really jump off the cliff and commit suicide. Longao, thank you so much this time. Feeling the surging power in his body, Han Lin was pleasantly surprised. Until now, he had never thought that Longao would really help him break through to the venerable realm. If he hadn't experienced it himself, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Han Lin, calm down. Although your cultivation has broken through to the venerable realm, there are some things that I have to tell you in advance. As for whether you accept it or not, it's up to you. Chapter 829. Han Lin was a little curious. He did not know what Longao wanted to say. But at this moment, Han Lin simply regarded Longao as a deity. To be able to make his cultivation break through to Venerable One in a short span of 10 days, who else could do this? Han Lin, I'll forcefully raise your cultivation to the venerable realm in 10 days. There are pros and cons. If you're unwilling to accept it, I can take away your inheritance now. Longao, can I ask what the consequences of forcefully raising one's strength will be? I don't know, but I'm sure that if something goes wrong in the future, you'll suffer a backlash. He did not even think about it. Han Lin said firmly, Longao, no matter what happens in the future, I won't regret it. Han Lin had been ridiculed and discriminated against since he was young. He could not even protect the people he loved. He would never forget this kind of humiliation. It was precisely because of this that Han Lin would not easily give up such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in front of him. Longao was not surprised by Han Lin's decision at all. Han Lin, based on your current strength, you can already sweep through Stone Town. Now, you can take back your lover. Longao waved his hand. Before Han Lin could speak, he already understood what Han Lin wanted to say. After all, Han Lin had always been very kind since he was young. He was used to being discriminated against by others. In addition, he had a long-term mindset. The Wu family was one of the two major families in Stone Town, so Han Lin did not dare to act rashly. Han Lin, do you know what your biggest weakness is? I don't know. Han Lin shook his head curiously. He did not know what Longao wanted to say. Kindness. To put it bluntly, you're very cowardly. I don't blame you for this, but I can tell you clearly that if you want to survive in this dog-eat-dog world, with your current personality, you can't do it. Before Han Lin could speak, Longao continued, sometimes, I really dislike your personality, but Han Lin, I treat you as a true friend. I hope you can change your personality. Longao was very depressed. Initially, Longao thought that Han Lin's character would change after he inherited the ferocious spirit beast's inheritance. However, he never expected that Han Lin's character would not change even after he inherited such an inheritance. It would be a lie to say that it wasn't a pain in the balls. Han Lin shrugged helplessly. How could he not know his own character? Let's go. Longao, where are you going? Longao didn't answer. Han Lin had no choice but to follow him out obediently. Although Han Lin had not seen Longao's strength with his own eyes, he was not a fool. Since Longao could help him break through to become a venerable one in just 10 days, one could imagine how mighty the young fellow was. Han Lin was astonished. He had not expected Longao to be so powerful. Under his mysterious aura, he could not sense any strength at all. Following behind Longao, Han Lin became more curious as he walked because Longao was walking in the direction of the Wu family. Is Longao going to bring me directly to the Wu family? Longao, this is no small matter. Why don't we discuss it in the long run? You're already a venerable one. Who in Stone Town can be your match? Longao knew very well in his heart that it was Long Fu's credit that he was able to create a venerable one in a short 10 days. In other words, it was possible to create one or two venerable ones, but even if he was willing, Long Fu would not be able to create thousands of venerable ones. After all, Long Fu was different from before. In order to forcefully suppress the blood pool, he had used all his strength. Longao, I know what you mean, but you don't understand the situation in Stone Town. Longao finally stopped and asked, what's the situation in Stone Town? Seeing Longao stop, Han Lin breathed a sigh of relief. He was also a little scared. Fortunately, Longao did not bring him directly to the Wu family. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao, you don't know. Other than the Han family and the Wu family, the real overlord of Stone Town is actually the Martial Artists Alliance. I heard from my grandfather that the Martial Artists Alliance once said that neither the Wu family nor the Han family should suffer any losses. It seems like there's some secret, but I don't know. After thinking for a while, Han Lin continued, so, if we go to the Wu family and the Martial Artists Alliance intervenes, the consequences will be unimaginable. Han Lin knew very well what the Martial Artists Alliance meant. In Han Lin's opinion, no matter how strong Longao was, it was impossible for him to be above the Martial Artists Alliance. There was no doubt about that. Longao, let's take our time and think about it. There's no need to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao nodded. Of course, He knew what Han Lin was worried about. Han Lin, as a man, there are some things you have to do and some things you have to take responsibility for. Regardless of whether Han Ying belongs to you or not, you have to make things clear. Also, after so many years of humiliation, you have to take back your dignity. Han Lin remained silent with his head lowered. No one knew what he was thinking about. Han Lin, are you going to keep doing this? Seeing that Han Lin was still silent, Longao felt more and more annoyed. If I had known this, I wouldn't have helped you before. Since that's the case, do as you see fit. With that, Longao prepared to leave. Since Han Lin wasn't in a hurry, why should he be? It was like the eunuch was more anxious than the emperor. It wasn't like he had nothing better to do. Seeing that Longao was about to leave, Han Lin was startled. Longao, I was just talking nonsense. You're right. I have to take back my dignity as a man. Regardless of whether Han Ying likes me or not, this matter has to be resolved. Longao did not say much nonsense, because the reason he did so was to help Han Lin reconstruct his character, because in this man-eat-man world, if one wanted to survive, kindness was a condition of certain death. In Stone Town, the Wu family and the Han family were rivals. Together, they controlled Stone Town. However, everyone knew that the real overlord of Stone Town was neither the Han family nor the Wu family. There was only one real overlord of Stone Town, and that was the Martial Artist Alliance. In other words, as long as the Martial Artist Alliance wanted to, they could destroy the Wu family and the Han family at any time and find new puppets to replace them. This was the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance. The Martial Artists Alliance was the most powerful among the 10 forces. They were everywhere. Even a small town like Stone Town was not spared by the Martial Artists Alliance. With the Martial Artists Alliance in charge, under normal circumstances, the surrounding forces wouldn't dare to cause trouble. After all, the Martial Artists Alliance's strength was obvious. Who wouldn't be blind? Chapter 830. The Wu family was one of the 2 great families of Stone Town. Wu Chou was an absolute genius of the Wu family. Wu Chou had already broken through to the sovereign realm at such a young age. Not to mention Stone Town, even in Fire Beacon City, he was a first-rate existence. Outside the Wu family's martial training grounds, Wu Chou, who had just finished cultivating, met Han Ying as he left the martial training grounds. Wu Chou gave a rare smile and said, "Why are you here?" Han Ying smiled helplessly. She sighed and said, "I just heard some news from the family. It seems that Han Lin wants to commit suicide." Wu Chou also felt helpless when he heard this news. "Wu Chou, come out and see me." Just as Wu Chou was about to say something, a roar suddenly rang out, enveloping the entire Wu family. It was so earth-shattering that everyone could hear it. Han Lin? Not daring to be sure, Han Ying asked, "Is it Han Lin?" "It should be. Let's go and see what's going on." Wu Chou left the martial training grounds with Han Ying. In a short while, a sea of people had gathered outside the Wu family. The family head, Wu Qua, and the 4 elders looked at the 2 people in front of them with gloomy expressions, especially one of them, the so-called Han Lin. "Han Lin, you really don't know what's good for you. How dare you be so impudent here? Do you know where this is?" Everyone looked down on Han Lin because he was famous for being trash in Stone Town. "I'm here to find Wu Chou. Tell him to come out and see me." Regarding the enmity between Wu Chou and Han Lin, everyone was naturally well aware. Because of this, everyone laughed because the gap between Han Lin and Wu Chou was too big. Could it be that Han Lin wanted to snatch back his lover? What a joke. "Han Lin, I'm here." Seeing Wu Chou and Han Ying come out together, Han Lin's heart ached. He was not a fool. Of course, he could tell that Han Ying was not being forced. Could it be that Han Ying really liked Wu Chou? Although he was unwilling to admit it, Han Lin knew that the truth was in front of him. He had to admit it even if he did not want to. "Wu Chou, I want to challenge you." "You want to challenge me?" Hearing Han Lin's words, everyone was dumbfounded. Then, everyone started laughing crazily. They all looked at Han Lin as if they were looking at an idiot. Everyone knew about Han Lin's situation. Han Lin and Wu Chou were like heaven and earth. The 2 of them were not on the same level. Han Lin wanting to challenge Wu Chou was simply courting death. "Cousin, You should go back. Han Lin did not say much about Han Ning because he was certain of one thing. Han Ning had already fallen in love with someone else. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to think too highly of himself. There was only one reason why Han Lin challenged Wu Chou this time, and that was to defeat Wu Chou and tell everyone in Stone Town that he wasn't trash. He wanted to regain the dignity that he had lost in the past, the dignity that belonged to a man. Han Lin, stop fooling around. Wu Chou suppressed his disdain because in his eyes, the other party was just a joke. He didn't even have the desire to fight. Accepting the challenge was bullying the weak. Even if he won, what meaning would there be? He might even end up being called a bully. Wu Chou, so you're just a coward. If you're a man, then accept the challenge. Don't worry, I'm not committing suicide, nor am I here for her. I formally challenge you in the name of a martial artist. Wu Chou, do you dare to accept? Longao, who was standing at the back, looked at Han Lin's every move and nodded silently. At this point, Han Lin's character was finally changing slowly. This was definitely a good thing for Han Lin. Issuing a challenge in the name of a martial artist was a big deal. If Han Lin issued a challenge in another name, Wu Chou could refuse. But since he issued a challenge in the name of a martial artist, Wu Chou had to accept no matter what. This was the attitude a martial artist should have. Once Wu Chou refused, it meant that he was afraid of Han Lin. How could he survive in Stone Town, where the Martial Artists Alliance was in charge? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The news of Han Lin challenging Wu Chou spread through the entire Stone Town. Soon, countless people from the Han family rushed into the Wu family. Even now, no one in the Han family believed that Han Lin dared to challenge the super genius of the Wu family. The Han family was so anxious not because they were afraid of losing a disciple, but because they were afraid that Han Lin would die too miserably and embarrass the Han family. This was the tragedy of being a disciple of a big family. This was the tragedy of being a trash in a big family. This was not the Han family's fault, but the continent's fault. Han Lin, get back here. The Han family's patriarch, Han Dong, had a gloomy expression. If not for the countless people watching, he would have gone over and killed Han Lin. He was a disgrace to the family. If it was any other time, Han Lin would not have dared to resist and would have obediently returned. But now, Han Lin was no longer the same as before. In addition to his own strength, he had the support of a mysterious friend. Not to mention his family, even if the Martial Artists Alliance came, Han Lin would not care. Han Lin, are you deaf? Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Han Lin's 2 words caused chaos. No one had thought that Han Lin would dare to say such a thing, and even tell the patriarch to shut up. What was going on? Was Han Lin crazy? Or was there something wrong with his head? Even if he wanted to die, this was not the way to do it. Just as many members of the Han clan were about to make a move, Han Dong waved his hand and stopped them. Things had already progressed to this point, and as the head of the Han clan, it was impossible for him to not notice that something was amiss. That was because he realized that Han Lin seemed to be different from before. Patriarch. Wait, not only Han Dong, but even the Wu family, especially Wu Chou, realized that something was wrong. Han Lin was clearly not crazy. Then, did he have something to rely on? Could it be the young man behind Han Lin? But if that was the case, it should be the young man who came out to challenge, not Han Lin. After all, Han Lin was only a Hotian realm martial artist. He had not even reached the Xiantian realm. Challenging a human king was simply suicide. For a moment, many people could not see Han Lin clearly. They did not know what was going on with him. Wu Chou, if I can't defeat you in one move, I'll kill myself here. Han Lin's words shocked everyone once again. There was an uproar. Others still thought that Han Lin was joking, but the expressions of the Wu family and Han family slowly changed. Han Lin was clearly not joking. The more Han Lin acted like this, the more curious they were. Chapter 831. No one chose to believe Han Lin's arrogance. In everyone's eyes, Han Lin was simply courting death. Wu Chou was furious to the extreme. He was ridiculed by a piece of trash in broad daylight. If he did not do something, he might as well die. You. Just as Wu Chou rushed out like an arrow, a shocking scene occurred. Wu Chou left quickly and returned quickly. Not only that, but Wu Chou also flew back and spat out blood. If Han Lin had not shown mercy, Wu Chou would have died at this moment. Han Lin defeated Wu Chou? Looking at the scene before them, everyone was in disbelief. They did not know if Han Lin had taken Viagra to be able to defeat the Wu clan's genius disciple in one move. Void supremacy? The patriarch of the Han family, Han Dong, the patriarch of the Wu family, Wu Kuo, and the elders from both sides stared at Han Lin in a daze. As sovereign personages and earthly sovereigns, they could clearly sense the aura of nothingness emanating from Han Lin. Everyone knew what it meant to be a void supremacy cultivator. Because of this, no one dared to believe that Han Lin was a void supremacy cultivator. Just what had happened? Han Lin, come back quickly. Han Dong was extremely excited when he saw that Han Lin was actually a void supremacy. This was because he knew very well what it meant to have a void supremacy in the clan. If it was someone else, once they became a void supremacy, it was unknown whether they would return to the Han clan or not. But Han Lin was different. He nodded and said, Wu Chou, you have lost. But I still say the same thing. The grudge between you and me is written off. Han Lin waved his hand. Han Lin had already given up on Han Ying, because even a fool could see that Han Ying's thoughts were not on him, but on Wu Chou. In this battle, he had regained his dignity as a man. Han Lin did not want to be ruthless. Seeing Han Lin turn around, Han Ying smiled bitterly. As for the Wu clan, they were all dumbfounded. They did not dare to speak at all, let alone call out to Han Lin. What a joke. Being able to defeat Wu Chou in one move already showed how strong Han Lin was. When Han Lin defeated Wu Chou, it could be said that one family was happy and the other was sad. But at this moment, a terrifying aura enveloped Han Lin, shocking him. Just as he was about to resist it, he was horrified to find that even with his strength, he was unable to resist the encroachment and erosion of this aura. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. A dignified and angry voice sounded, following which an old man suddenly appeared and looked at Han Lin coldly as if he was the murderer of his father. When they saw the old man, everyone from the Wu family and the Han family bowed respectfully and said, Greetings, sir. The old man nodded indifferently as he stared at Han Lin. His aura was still enveloping Han Lin, locking him down. It was as if the moment Han Lin moved, the old man would immediately attack. The old man who had just appeared was Qin Lu, the manager of the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. In other words, the old man's position in Stone Town was definitely at the level of an overlord. No one dared to provoke him. Han Lin, you dared to injure Wu Chou in public. You have no respect for the Martial Artists Alliance. Do you know what you've done? Pooh. As if unable to hold back, Longao burst out laughing. Ever since Han Lin defeated Wu Chou, especially after Qin Lu appeared, the entire area outside the Wu family was quiet. It was precisely because of this that Longao's sudden laughter was especially sensational in such an environment. How dare you? Wu Kuo, the head of the Wu family, roared angrily. Then, an elder behind him, the so-called earthly sovereign martial artist, rushed out, ready to take down Longao and curry favor with the Martial Artists Alliance. However, Han Lin stood in front of Longao and directly slapped the elder back. The gap between an earthly sovereign martial artist and a venerable martial artist was too big. They were not at the same level at all. Han Lin, you dare to attack? Seeing Han Lin attack, Wu Kuo was shocked. No matter what, Han Lin was no longer the same as before. If it were not for the Martial Artists Alliance as his backing, he would not be able to compete with Han Lin by relying on his family alone. In other words, it would be a piece of cake for Han Lin to slaughter the Wu family. Your Excellency, please uphold justice. Since Han Lin had already attacked, Wu Kuo did not dare to continue. If Han Lin went crazy, the Wu family would be in big trouble. Because of this, Wu Kuo put all his hopes on the Martial Artists Alliance, hoping to use the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance to destroy Han Lin. Han Lin, I'd like to know how you could reach the venerable martial artist realm in just 10 days when you were still a good-for-nothing 10 days ago. After saying this, Qin Lu looked at Longao and said arrogantly and indifferently, "You'll regret it later." "Regret your ass." Before Qin Lu could speak or get angry, Longao continued, "What does Han Lin's matter have to do with you? Do you have nothing better to do?" Longao's words directly shocked everyone. Everyone was speculating about Longao's background and why he dared to insult Qin Lu like this. After all, Qin Lu's identity was there. Not to mention Qin Lu's strength. Just offending Qin Lu was equivalent to offending the Martial Artists Alliance. The Martial Artists Alliance was one of the 10 forces. If one offended the Martial Artists Alliance, they would definitely die. Everyone looked at Longao sympathetically because in everyone's opinion, Longao had been sentenced to death for daring to insult Qin Lu in public. No one could save him. As for Han Lin, he was obviously no match for Qin Lu. Good, very good, very good. Instead of being angry, Qin Lu laughed and looked coldly at Longao. Suddenly, Qin Lu's body moved quickly and arrived in the blink of an eye. Longao was seriously injured. Although he had half a month to recuperate, his injury was obviously very serious this time. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao was really unwilling to fight. The reason why Longao did this was very simple. From the beginning to the end, he disliked the Martial Artists Alliance. Moreover, this person's appearance was obviously against Han Lin and protecting the Wu family. Because of this, Longao knew very well that even if he did not do this, Han Lin would not have a good ending. Therefore, before the old man got angry, he scolded first. Of course, Han Lin knew Longao's situation. Therefore, before Longao made a move, he had already fought back. However, there was a big gap between his realm and Qin Lu's. One was a supreme master, and the other was a venerable. They could not be compared. The gap between the 8 realms of nothingness was huge. Qin Lu sneered. With the help of his powerful martial skills and many years of battle experience, he sent Han Lin flying with only 3 moves. However, at that moment, Qin Lu's main target was obviously not Han Lin, but Longao. Therefore, after sending Han Lin flying, Qin Lu went directly to Longao. Chapter 832. This person was finished. Seeing Qin Lu shoot towards Longao, everyone was sure that Longao would definitely die. Everyone knew Qin Lu's strength. Qin Lu was a void supremacy. Even against Han Lin, he only used 3 moves. One could imagine how powerful Qin Lu was. But the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Longao clearly knew that if he forced himself to attack, it would definitely affect his injuries or even worsen them. But things had already come to this point. If he didn't do anything, not only him, but even Han Lin would be unlucky. Was he going to die here? Longao didn't have a good impression of the Martial Artists Alliance. With the help of spatial teleportation, his body instantly disappeared. When Qin Lu shot over, he found that Han Lin had suddenly disappeared. He didn't know what had happened at all. In his shock, before he could react, a terrifying aura came from behind him. This was bad. Qin Lu was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Han Lin's strength must be above his to be able to suddenly disappear. This was a tragedy. If he had known that Han Lin was so powerful, he wouldn't have come. The reason why Qin Lu attacked this time was very simple. The Wu family and the Han family were 2 puppets chosen by the Martial Artists Alliance. They restrained each other so that the Martial Artists Alliance could better control Stone Town. However, Han Lin's sudden rise and defeat of Wu Chou in one move had obviously disrupted the balance between the 2 families. Others might not know, but Qin Lu knew very well that with Han Lin's help, the Han family could easily suppress or even swallow the Wu family. After all, a void supremacy was not a joke. Not daring to have the slightest hesitation, Qin Lu turned around and gave a swift kick, hoping to resolve the danger. But the result was already decided. Longao's cultivation had already broken through the Holy Emperor realm. He was not a small supremacy being at his level at all, even if Longao was seriously injured. Earth Elemental Art. Longao directly used the 5-element sky swallowing technique because his injuries were very serious. He had to end the battle quickly. The gravity space suppressed Qin Lu. Longao didn't hesitate at all. He turned sideways and used the seal of destruction. It had been a long time since Longao had used the seal of destruction. When Longao had obtained the extermination seal, he had thought that it was very powerful and would be his trump card. However, as time passed and his strength continued to increase, Longao gradually discovered a problem. The destruction seal that he cultivated could devour his soul. That was why he usually did not use the destruction seal even though he had been cultivating it. Seal of Destruction. Longao had already cultivated up to the 10th seal. In order to end the battle quickly, Longao directly used the 10th seal of the extermination seal. The terrifying pressure ruthlessly suppressed Qin Lu, not giving Qin Lu the slightest chance. The power of the destruction seal had directly knocked Qin Lu down. Kneeling on the ground, Qin Lu's face was filled with extreme shock. From the beginning to the end, Qin Lu had never thought that the other party's strength would be so powerful. He didn't dare to stay any longer. With a turn of his body, Qin Lu disappeared without a trace. Ran away? Looking at Qin Lu, who had already disappeared, Longao shook his head helplessly. He knew very well that the most important reason why he had let Qin Lu escape this time was because he was seriously injured. Otherwise, not to mention a supreme being, even if 1,000 supreme beings joined forces, they would not have been able to escape. This person had beaten away Qin Lu from the Martial Artists Alliance? Looking at the scene that had just happened, everyone was completely dumbfounded. When Longao and Han Lin came back to their senses, they discovered that the people from the Wu family and the Han family had already disappeared without a trace. Not a single one was left. Longao, who exactly are you? Things had already come to this point. If Han Lin still couldn't sense that there was something fishy about this matter, then he would really be a fool. No comment. You just need to know that I will always be your friend. Nodding, Han Lin did not ask further since the other party was unwilling to say more. However, what happened next was extremely tragic for Han Lin. The Han family announced to Stone Town that from now on, Han Lin was no longer a member of the Han family. In other words, Han Lin had nothing to do with the Han family. Everyone knew clearly what the Han family meant. No matter what, this time Han Lin and the mysterious person had provoked Qin Lu, which could be considered as indirectly provoking the Martial Artists Alliance. If the Han family did not take any action, once the Martial Artists Alliance came looking for trouble, the Han family would be the first unlucky ones to suffer. Shrugging helplessly, Han Lin said dejectedly, Longao, look, this is the family I grew up in. When faced with such a situation, not only did the family not support me, but they even dragged me down and expelled me from the family. Looking at the dejected Han Lin, Longao also felt very helpless. What was the use of such a family? Longao did not want to say anything more. Although he was Han Lin's friend, he knew what to ask and what not to ask, what to do and what not to do. Things like this could never be said. Longao, now that we have provoked Qin Lu, it is equivalent to provoking the Martial Artists Alliance. If nothing unexpected happens, the Martial Artists Alliance will definitely not let this go. We are in big trouble. Han Lin was very helpless. Han Lin had heard about the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance. If the Martial Artists Alliance really came looking for trouble, how could he resist? Regarding the worry in Han Lin's heart, how could Longao not know? Follow me. Longao took Han Lin and left at the fastest speed. In the end, Longao did not care about the Martial Artists Alliance at all. As for whether the Martial Artists Alliance would come looking for trouble, that was a matter for the future. The only thing he had to do now was to recover as soon as possible. Because of the battle with Qin Lu just now, although he defeated Qin Lu, his internal injuries were aggravated. Fortunately, Qin Lu's strength was not very strong. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the Dragon Seal space, Master, you are taking too much of a risk. I have already told you before that within a month, you should not act casually. Now 15 days have passed. If you wait another 15 days, you will be in great danger just now. Shrugging helplessly, Longao said, if I don't act, Qin Lu will not let this go. What's more, I have an inexplicable dislike for the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao seemed to be a little unable to control the Martial Artists Alliance. This did not mean that the Martial Artists Alliance wanted to deal with him, but the biggest reason was because of Yuan. Because it was Hades of the Martial Artists Alliance who took away Yuan for no reason, causing him and Yuan to be separated by the world. They could not see each other for so long, and could only yearn for each other every day. Master, I know how you feel, but at this time, you chose to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. Once the Martial Artists Alliance comes looking for trouble and you cannot act, you will be in big trouble. Chapter 833. He nodded. How could Longao not know about this? After defeating Qin Lu successfully, Longao knew that Qin Lu would not give up and would definitely call for reinforcements. Without a doubt, the reinforcements Qin Lu found this time would definitely be above the Supreme Master level. If it were any other time, Longao would not be worried at all. But now, the situation was completely different. He was seriously injured and almost had trouble dealing with Qin Lu. If the Martial Artists Alliance sent a few more experts, how could he deal with them? Could he rely on Hanlin? With a deep sigh, Longao thought about it. In the end, he had no choice but to use the formation. Because in his current situation, he could only use the formation to resist the Martial Artists Alliance. Master, are you going to use the formation? Yes. Long Fu did not hide anything from Longao. Master, have you ever thought that even if you use the formation to resist the Martial Artists Alliance, it will only be temporary? Once the Martial Artists Alliance finds out about your identity, they will definitely not give up. At that time, not to mention the Supreme Masters, even the great Emperor Warriors and Divine Warriors may come. Regarding this matter, Longao really did not think of it. Longao knew that he was more or less a celebrity in the Tianwu continent. After all, not everyone could be expelled from a Long family. Moreover, he had a big grudge against Hades from the Martial Artists Alliance. For Yuan, Hades had always wanted to kill him. Longao was almost certain that once Hades found out that he was in Stone Town, he would definitely deal with him. Lowering his head and thinking, Longao knew that he had to recover his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would not be able to resist the Martial Artists Alliance. As for the formation, it had to be set up. It had to last as long as it could. In order to resist the attack of the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao finally chose the 10 formations. 10,000 Ghosts Devouring Soul Formation, Chaos Everlasting Formation, Nirvana Void Lifeless Formation, 3 Lives 3 Death Soul Dispersing Formation, Hidden Dragon Divine Annihilation Formation, 6 Wheels Baleful Ghost Formation, Boundless Tornado Illusion Destruction Formation, 12 Divine Fiends Formation, and 3 Lives 3 Death Soul Dispersing Formation. Any one of the 10 Great Array formations was an incomparably powerful existence. In other words, no matter which formation Longao set up, it was not something that could be done in 1 or 2 days. It was precisely because of this that Longao came up with an idea. That was to simply set up 10 major arrays, and then the arrays would be linked together. This way, even if the power was slightly weaker, the average martial artist should be able to deal with it. Longao did some calculations. Based on his current situation, as long as no martial artists above the illusionary divine stage were here, the array should be able to kill any martial artists below the illusionary divine stage. As for what Longao was doing, Han Lin did not know and did not dare to ask. At this moment, the situation in Stone Town was changing rapidly. This was because everyone knew that the Martial Artists Alliance would definitely get angry. It was just a matter of time. The Martial Artists Alliance in Stone Town did not get angry. This was because Qin Lu's sudden disappearance had caused the Martial Artists Alliance to be completely afraid of Longao and Han Lin. After all, the Martial Artists Alliance knew how powerful the two of them were to be able to chase Qin Lu away. If it was the Martial Artists Alliance, they would not be afraid of the two of them. However, the problem now was that the Martial Artists Alliance in Stone Town was only a branch. The Martial Artists Alliance did not provoke the two of them, and the two of them did not provoke the Martial Artists Alliance either. Behind the calm, there must be a sign of a bigger storm. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Longao, I just received accurate news. After Qin Lu left Stone Town, he went straight to Fire Beacon City and told the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City about us. I also received news that Qin Lu brought 2 earthly venerables and 1 heavenly venerables. It seems like he wants to destroy us. 2 earthly venerables and 1 heavenly venerables. This kind of strength was indeed an irresistible existence for a small town like Stone Town. As for the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, Longao knew very well that whether it was the Martial Artists Alliance in Stone Town or the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, they were all branches of the Martial Artists Alliance. The Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family were no different. They were all divided according to levels. Long family was divided into 9 levels. As for the Martial Artists Alliance, it was divided into countless branches, such as the branches in Stone Town and Fire Beacon City. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the strength and foundation of the Martial Artists Alliance was. Longao, what should we do now? Han Lin was very worried and afraid. Although his cultivation had reached the level of Venerable and Longao's strength was even above Supreme Venerables, the legend of the Martial Artists Alliance was still there. This time, the Martial Artists Alliance had sent 2 earthly venerables and 1 heavenly venerables. This already showed the attitude of the Martial Artists Alliance. Smiling, Longao didn't seem to be too worried. He said, "We'll deal with whatever comes our way. Since the Martial Artists Alliance thinks so highly of us, we'll take them all." Take them all? Han Lin smiled bitterly. He also wanted to take them all, but could he? 2 earthly venerables and 1 heavenly venerables. If this was in normal times, it would definitely be a legendary existence. Han Lin, you don't believe me? Longao, I'll be honest. I really don't believe you. After thinking for a while, Han Lin continued, Longao, I know what you mean, but it's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Moreover, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. We don't have to fight the Martial Artists Alliance head-on. At worst, we'll just leave Stone Town. Leaving is a must. Things have already come to this point. Even if we can temporarily defeat them, it's still very dangerous for you to stay in Stone Town. Longao regarded Han Lin as a true friend. Of course, he wouldn't let his friend be in any danger. The Martial Artists Alliance would definitely not let this matter go. If Han Lin continued to stay in Stone Town, he would definitely be hunted down by the Martial Artists Alliance. As for himself, once he recovered from his injuries, he would definitely choose to leave Stone Town. Of course, Han Lin had to be clear about this. Although he didn't want to leave at all, Han Lin knew that things had already come to this point. He had to leave. Han Lin, I want to ask you, have you heard of a formation master? Han Lin didn't know why Longao asked this question, but he still nodded and said, Of course I've heard of it. A formation master is an existence above a martial artist. However, formation masters are very rare. Longao, don't tell me that you're a formation master? Longao smiled and nodded. His meaning was very clear. Seeing Longao admit it, Han Lin was shocked. He never thought that Longao was actually a formation master. No wonder he was so confident. Hearing that Longao was a formation master, Han Lin breathed a sigh of relief and said, Since you're a formation master, then things are much simpler. Longao, you can set up a formation to deal with the masters of the Martial Artists Alliance. When the time comes, kill as many as they come. Chapter 834. Hearing Han Lin's words, Longao smiled. He didn't say anything. After all, Han Lin didn't know much about array masters. As expected, just as Han Lin had heard, on the 12th day, Qin Lu brought the reinforcements and returned to Stone Town in a grandiose manner. Qin Lu brought 2 earthly venerables and 1 celestial venerable with him. In the eyes of the Martial Artists Alliance, it was more than enough for the 3 martial artists to come to Stone Town and kill Han Lin and the mysterious man. As for Longao's identity, the Martial Artists Alliance hadn't really found out until now. According to the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance, they didn't care about the small Stone Town at all. As soon as they stepped into Stone Town, Qin Lu had already found out about the whereabouts of Longao and Han Lin. Without any hesitation, the 4 masters had already rushed over. Stone Town, in a luxurious restaurant. The entire restaurant had been bought by Han Lin. There was no one around. Because everyone heard that the restaurant was bought by the 2 of them, No one dared to stay for a minute longer. Outside the restaurant, Qin Lu, Han Lin, and the person who gave you the reward are inside? Nodding, Qin Lu's face was extremely gloomy. He said, "Protectors, you must be very careful. This person is very mysterious and very powerful." He snorted. The three of them didn't take Qin Lu's words seriously at all. In their eyes, what kind of powerful martial artists could be born in a small stone town? Qin Lu, it seems that you've been too peaceful in Stone Town for so many years. After this matter is solved, I'll report it to my superiors and transfer you back to Fire Beacon City. Hearing this, Qin Lu was greatly shocked. He knew very well that he could do whatever he wanted in Stone Town. Once he was transferred back to Fire Beacon City, he would become someone else's subordinate. He certainly didn't want to accept such a contrast. However, things had already come to this point. Qin Lu didn't dare to say anything more. He could only wait until Han Lin and the mysterious man were dealt with, and then figure out how to continue to be the head of the Martial Artists Alliance in Stone Town. Let's go. The four of them did not continue to hesitate, and all of them rushed into the luxurious restaurant. The entire restaurant was quiet and empty. The four of them had just stepped in when their expressions changed slightly. They seemed to have realized that something was wrong. However, the four of them were still full of confidence. If they left like this, where would they put their face? Where was the face of the Martial Artists Alliance? Han Lin, come out and have a fair fight if you dare. A fair fight? At this moment, a cold harumph was heard. Longao and Han Lin appeared. It was Longao who had just spoken. As for Han Lin, he was full of worry. In his opinion, the three warriors sent by the Martial Artists Alliance this time were all experts among experts. Could the formation set up by Longao really withstand the attacks of the three warriors? Who are you? Who I am is none of your business. Seeing how arrogant Longao was, the four of them laughed. No one had ever dared to treat them like this. Not to mention their strength, the Martial Artists Alliance alone was an existence that ordinary people could not compete with. I don't care who you are. How dare you provoke the Martial Artists Alliance? Only death awaits you. With a cold harumph, Longao said disdainfully, "You think you can do it? I'd like to see how you can kill me today." As he spoke, Longao and Han Lin turned around and left. "You're courting death," the four of them roared. Of course, they would not stop there. Just as the four of them chased after them, Longao and Han Lin's figures had already disappeared without a trace. Looking at the empty restaurant, the four of them looked extremely gloomy. Qin Lu seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he swallowed his words. Because he knew that no matter what he said at this time, the three of them would not take it to heart. "You guys be careful. I feel that something is wrong here. It seems to be a formation." The three of them were not sure, but the celestial venerable warrior among them calmed down and seemed to have sensed something. However, he was still not sure. No matter what, formation masters were very rare in the Tianwu continent. Their status was even higher than that of warriors. Could it be that the other party was really a formation master? The three of them knew very well that if the other party was really a formation master, they would be in big trouble. After all, a formation master could kill enemies above his level and could even fight against 100 people alone. Because of this, the four of them began to be careful. As expected, it was at this moment that the 10 formations began to link together. Wave after wave of attacks were unleashed in a continuous cycle, as if there was no end to it. Their guess was right. Feeling the attacks coming from all directions, the four of them were shocked. The four of them were inexplicably afraid of formations. Perhaps this was just the legend of formation masters. East, south, west, and north. The four of them stood back to back, trying their best to resist the attacks of the formations. However, the 10 formations were linked together and their power could be imagined. Longao, this is unbelievable. Not only are you a powerful warrior, but you are also a powerful formation master. Han Lin sighed. Up until now, he had not realized what was going on. Han Lin was not a fool. Of course, he knew what Longao's formation meant. It should be known that the Martial Artists Alliance had sent 2 earthly venerables and a celestial venerable other than Qin Lu. Even so, The four of them were still trapped in the formation. It was hard to say whether they would survive. All of this was because of the young man beside him, a mysterious friend. Longao smiled. He had full confidence in the formation he had set up. Hanlin, we are friends. To be honest, I have a grudge with the Martial Artists Alliance. Not only that, I am a member of the Long family, but I was expelled from my family. Moreover, I have a grudge with the Black Wind Valley and the Heavenly Sect. Hearing Long Ao's words, Han Lin was completely stunned. He did not expect Long Ao to be so involved. The Long family and the Martial Artists Alliance alone were enough to shock him. Moreover, the Heavenly Sect and the Black Wind Valley were also involved. It was hard to imagine how many powerful enemies Long Ao had provoked. Long Ao waved his hand. Of course, he did not want to implicate Han Lin. He knew very well that once his identity was exposed, not only the Martial Artists Alliance, but also the Long family, the Heavenly Sect, and the Black Wind Valley would flock to him. At that time, if Han Lin was still with him, he would definitely be implicated. The more friends he was, the more he could not implicate him. Han Lin, I have decided. After I settle the matters with the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, I will leave. You don't have to stay in Fire Beacon City or Stone Town. Remember, from now on, you have to change your name. You can go anywhere as long as you don't provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. I believe that it will not be easy for the Martial Artists Alliance to find you in the sea of people. Chapter 835. He let out a deep sigh. Han Lin wasn't a fool. He knew that Long Ao was doing this for his own good. Han Lin didn't say anything else. He knew that with his strength, he couldn't help at all. He might even drag Long Ao down. Inside the luxurious restaurant, the 10 formations were linked together. The terrifying attack power didn't give the 4 people any chance. Just like that, the 4 people were killed by the formations in just 10 minutes. Even now, Han Lin still couldn't react. Long Ao, can you leave this formation to me? Regarding Han Lin's meaning, Long Ao naturally knew it clearly. Shrugging helplessly, Long Ao asked, is it worth it? No matter what, the Han family is where I was born and raised. Even if I didn't do anything, I still worked hard. Moreover, they were heartless, but I can't be unrighteous. If I leave this formation to the family, it might save the family in the future. Long Ao wasn't angry at Han Lin's words. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Although Han Lin still had not changed his kind nature, from a certain perspective, a person like Han Lin was only suited for a stable life. He didn't continue to dwell on this issue. Han Lin thought for a while and said worriedly, Long Ao, we killed 4 people this time. If there are no accidents, the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City won't let this go. Han Lin didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was clear. With regards to this problem, Long Ao naturally also thought of it. The Martial Artists Alliance had countless branches. Aside from Stone Town, Fire Beacon City also had a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. Moreover, the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City was much stronger than the one in Stone Town. Especially now, he knew nothing about the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City. Long Ao didn't say anything. Similarly, he didn't want to stay in Stone Town any longer. He prepared to leave for Fire Beacon City. Since things had already reached this point, they might as well go all the way. Taking care of Fire Beacon City's Martial Artists Alliance could be considered as collecting some interest. Just as Long Ao was about to leave, Han Lin suddenly came looking for him. His meaning was very simple. Since things had come to this point, he had no place to go. Helpless, Long Ao could only tell him the sect's address and write a letter. In other words, Long Ao had temporarily arranged for Han Lin to stay in the sect. This was the best place for Han Lin to return to. The next day, Long Ao and Han Lin got up and left separately. However, the two of them left in completely different directions. One headed to the eastern state while the other headed to Fire Beacon City. Fire Beacon City. In the entire Tianwu continent, it could only be considered the lowest level of honesty. However, Fire Beacon City and Stone Town were clearly different. That was because in Fire Beacon City, other than the Martial Artists Alliance, there were other factions. The 10 factions were the Long family, the Dan Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanshou sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the Five Elements sect, the Wanzhan school, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Profound Heaven sect. And in Fire Beacon City, other than the major families, the three most powerful factions were the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanzhan school, and the Sword sect. Regarding what had happened in Stone Town, Fire Beacon Shin already knew everything. Because of this, everyone was shocked. The strength of the Martial Artists Alliance was obvious. Just who was so blind as to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance? They were simply courting death. Not to mention ordinary people. Even the other two superpowers, the Wanzhan school and the Sword sect, did not dare to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. One family, two alliances, three schools, and four sections. Their strength was almost the same. However, if one really wanted to compare them, the Martial Artists Alliance's strength and foundation would definitely surpass the Wanzhan school and the Sword sect. But everyone knew. If it wasn't for the fact that they had no other choice, the 10 superpowers would definitely not start a war. For countless years, the 10 Cardinal Tripod had always been calm and peaceful. No one would casually disturb such a peaceful environment. After a day, Longao had already smoothly entered Fire Beacon City. Although the entire Fire Beacon City knew about what had happened in Stone Town, no one had actually seen Longao. Because of this, Longao did not immediately attract any trouble after entering Fire Beacon City. After a short period of questioning, Longao roughly understood the situation in Fire Beacon City. Among the three superpowers, Longao was most interested in the Wanzhan school. Wanzhan school, without a doubt, was a power that specialized in researching formations. In other words, Wanzhan school was famous for its formations. With the status of formation masters in the Tianwu continent and the might of their formations, no one would dare to provoke the Wanzhan school. The Wanzhan school, the Sword sect, and the Martial Artists Alliance all had branches in Fire Beacon City. Longao was very curious. He really could not understand how a small Fire Beacon City could attract three superpowers to enter at the same time. Could it be that Fire Beacon City had some kind of secret? Stepping into Fire Beacon City, Longao first found a tea house. Fire Beacon City, Martial Artists Alliance branch, main hall. The person in charge of this branch, Lu Yun, was a powerful world emperor. But at this moment, Lu Yun's face was extremely gloomy. He had never imagined that the three protectors he had sent, along with Qin Lu, would all be wiped out. Just who was it that had the guts to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance? After thinking for a long time, Lu Yun could not think of a reason. He asked, "Second brother, how's the investigation going?" Lu Fei helplessly shook his head and sighed, "Big brother, this person is very mysterious. From the beginning to the end, I could not find anything. Furthermore, Han Lin has already disappeared." "What about the Han family? They're all here." Lu Fei seemed to be surprised, but he continued, "Big brother, you might not know this, but the Han family has always looked down on Han Lin. Therefore, Han Lin did not have much affection for the Han family. But according to the information I gathered, after Han Lin was found out, the Han family suddenly bought a restaurant. It was the restaurant where my three protectors were killed." "What's going on?" Lu Yun was a shrewd old man. Since his second brother had mentioned this matter, it seemed like there was indeed a problem with the Han family. Just as expected. "Big brother, according to the witnesses, the reason why Han Lin and this person were able to kill the three protectors was because of the restaurant. I went there personally, but I did not find anything." Lu Yun did not say anything. For some reason, he felt that there was something fishy about this matter. If his second brother did not find anything, he would not have mentioned this matter. "So, I invited the protectors of the Wanzhan school to Stone Town. As expected, I found the real reason in the restaurant." "Speak." Lu Yun also wanted to know how Han Lin and this mysterious person did it. After all, he had sent out three protectors this time. Two of them were earthly venerables, and one was a heavenly venerate. With such strength, how could an ordinary person be a match for them? Chapter 836. Big brother, this is unbelievable. The entire restaurant is a formation. After the inspection of the Wanjan School's protectors, this formation is interconnected. There are at least 10 formations supporting it. Lu Yun shot to his feet. Of course, he knew what his second brother meant. He finally understood why the 3 enforcers he'd sent out had all been wiped out. A formation master. He never thought that the other party would be a powerful formation master. Big brother, do you think this was done by the Wanjan School? How could he not know what his younger brother was thinking? Shaking his head, he said with certainty, absolutely not. But big brother. Lu Yun waved his hand and continued before Lu Fei could say anything. All these years, the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wanjan School have never interfered with each other. Moreover, I can't think of any reason why the Wanjan School would do this. If it wasn't the Wanjan School, then who could it be? Second brother, this is no small matter. We lost 3 protectors in one go, and we didn't even get to see the other party's face. If this news gets back, we'll all be in trouble. Big brother, what should we do now? Lu Fei was shocked. He knew what would happen if the higher-ups found out. No matter what happens, you have to find this person as soon as possible. Remember, don't kill him. Bring him back. Big brother, even if we find this person, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch him with our current strength. No matter what, this person is a formation master. It seems that we have to fight poison with poison. What do you think? I'll go to the Wanjan School personally. Longao didn't know what happened in the Martial Artists Alliance. At this moment, Longao was thinking about how to deal with the Martial Artists Alliance. He already knew that the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance branch in Fire Beacon City, the so-called strongest person, was only a world emperor. If he was in his prime, he wouldn't have to fear a world emperor. However, the current situation was different. His injuries had yet to recover. Not to mention world emperors, he might not even be able to deal with venerables. The more this was the case, the more Long Ao needed to experience adversity. According to what Long Fu said, even though he was heavily injured by a supreme Dao martial artist and had his strength sucked dry by the deity-slaying sword, he did not suffer from the backlash of the blood pool. If he could train under constant pressure, not only would there be no disadvantages, there might even be benefits. Long Ao did not act recklessly. He went straight to the Martial Artists Alliance. Before Long Ao could take action, he had already received news that the Martial Artists Alliance had teamed up with the Wanjan School to send people to Stone Town. Their goal was simple, to deal with him. Long Ao had already guessed that the formation he had left behind had been discovered by the Martial Artists Alliance. It seemed that the Martial Artists Alliance was very afraid of formation masters, which was why they had joined forces with Wanjan School. He sneered. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance and Wanjan School sent tens of thousands of people to Stone Town, it would be useless. This was because Long Ao had already left Stone Town and was in Fire Beacon City. In other words, he was right under the nose of the Martial Artists Alliance. It could be said that the most dangerous place was the safest place. The Martial Artists Alliance would never have thought that the person they were looking for was right in front of them. Martial Artists Alliance, lobby. There was only one person in the empty lobby, and that was the so-called manager, Lu Yun. At this moment, a soft voice came. Lu Yun's expression changed. He shot out 2 rays of cold light and disappeared from the lobby in the blink of an eye. He followed the black shadow in front of him all the way. Lu Yun had no idea who the other party was or why they were looking for him in the middle of the night. One had to know that he was the manager of the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, which was equivalent to representing the Martial Artists Alliance. Because of this, Lu Yun could not figure out who was so blind as to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. They were simply courting death. A few minutes later, the 2 figures had left Fire Beacon City. At the peak of a mountain about a few thousand meters away from Fire Beacon City, the black figure finally stopped. Lu Yun also stopped. Who are you? Why are you looking for me? Lu Yun did not fly into a rage immediately. Lu Yun was not a fool. He knew that if the other party was not confident, they would not be so arrogant. They were actually provoking the Martial Artists Alliance while looking for him. Haven't you been looking for me? The person who was looking for Lu Yun this time was none other than Long Ao. You are the mysterious person who killed my 3 protectors? Lu Yun was shocked. He never thought that the person he had been looking for would be standing right in front of him. Since the other party dared to look for him so openly, didn't that mean that this person did not take him seriously at all? The calmer and more arrogant Longao was, the more unsure Lu Yun was. He looked at the young man in front of him coldly and asked, "Who are you? Why are you making an enemy out of the Martial Artists Alliance?" "My name is Black Wolf." "Lu Yun, you have to be clear about one thing. I am not looking for trouble with the Martial Artists Alliance. It is the Martial Artists Alliance that is looking for trouble with me first. Have you gone senile? As the manager of the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, when had anyone dared to scold him like this?" But at this moment, Lu Yun suppressed his anger. The reason was simple. He did not have the confidence to defeat the other party. If news of this spread, no one would believe it. "Black Wolf, even if the Martial Artists Alliance was in the wrong first, you should not have killed my 3 protectors. And Qin Lu, you were playing with fire. But since you are a talent, I can let bygones be bygones." Was the other party so kind? Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he did not believe it. But Longao did not say anything, because he also wanted to hear what Lu Yun wanted to say. "Black Wolf, as long as you join the Martial Artists Alliance, I can let bygones be bygones. Not only that, if you are willing, I can recommend you to become the core of the Martial Artists Alliance. What do you think?" Roping him in. In the end, Lu Yun still felt that he did not have the confidence to kill the other party. He could only appease the other party. As for whether he was sincerely trying to recruit him or just pretending to deal with him in the future, it seemed that only Lu Yun himself knew. Longao did not believe it. Moreover, because of the Hades, he could not join the Martial Artists Alliance. Just as Longao was about to refuse, he suddenly thought of something in his mind. Yuan, that's right. If he wanted to see Yuan under normal circumstances, it would be a fool's dream. Since that was the case, why not accept the other party's offer and join the Martial Artists Alliance first? Then he could slowly make his way into the core of the Martial Artists Alliance. Wouldn't he be able to meet Yuan then? As for what would happen after meeting her, that was a matter for the future. Chapter 837. For the sake of Yuan, Longao had decided to temporarily join the Martial Artists Alliance. Lu Yun thought for a moment. Longao said, "Okay, I can promise you. But I want to know what you will give me if I join the Martial Artists Alliance." Did he just agree? Hearing this, Lu Yun was overjoyed. Lu Yun did not expect Black Wolf to agree so easily. If it was someone else, he would not have cared. But Black Wolf was different. Not only was Black Wolf stronger than him, but he was also very skilled in formations. If someone like him could join the Martial Artists Alliance, it would definitely be more beneficial than detrimental to Lu Yun. Lu Yun knew very well that the 3 guardians and Qin Lu were already dead. Even if he tried to kill Black Wolf, it would not make any difference. If that was the case, it would be better to let Black Wolf join the Martial Artists Alliance. Black Wolf, as I said just now, as long as you are willing to join the Martial Artists Alliance, you will immediately become the person with the most authority, second only to me. Are you satisfied? Nodding, Longao said, "No problem, but I have 2 conditions." "Tell me." Longao sneered in his heart. Joining the Martial Artists Alliance was a lie, but he really wanted to join the Martial Artists Alliance. His goal was to find Yuan. After all, one of the reasons he came to the Middle Sky Martial Continent was to find Aoshue and Yuan. "First, after I join the Martial Artists Alliance, if there is any opportunity, you must recommend me, because I can't stay in Fire Beacon City forever. How about it?" Lu Yun did not think of this point. He lowered his head and started to think. This was because it was not easy, but it was also difficult. In order to rope in a genius, Lu Yun nodded in the end. His meaning was clear. He agreed. Longao was pleasantly surprised. He continued, "As for the second condition, I believe you've already found out that I'm a formation master. On the continent, only the students of Wanzhan School know how to make formations. Therefore, I want to challenge the formation master of Wanzhan School on behalf of the Martial Artists Alliance." Regarding this point, Longao had also just thought of it. The reason was simple. Longao's current formation skills were not the best. At the very least, he was not a god-level formation master. Therefore, he decided to challenge the formation masters of Wanzhong School on behalf of the Martial Artists Alliance. This way, his formation skills would improve rapidly. That's not a problem. Just like that, Longao and Lu Yun reached an agreement. The two of them left the mountain peak and headed for Fire Beacon City. The next day, in the lobby of the Martial Artists Alliance. No, big brother. I won't agree to this. Not only me, I believe that the others won't agree to this either. Who does he think he is? How can he be the deputy hall chief? Normally, the hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance's branch was the highest, which was Lu Yun. The Martial Artists Alliance's branch had never had a deputy hall chief. Even Lu Fei was not qualified. One could imagine how powerful the deputy hall chief was. Because of this, everyone was against Longao becoming the hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance's branch. Second brother, I've already made up my mind. You don't have to say anything. Lu Fei was furious. He glared at Longao and sneered, Black Wolf, I'd like to know, what qualifications do you have to be the deputy hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance? Longao could not be bothered with Lu Fei. However, things had already come to this point. He did not want to cause any more trouble. You're asking me what qualifications do I have? It's very simple. I'm stronger than you. That alone is enough. I'm stronger than you. It had to be said that Longao was really arrogant. No matter what, this was the headquarters of the Martial Artists Alliance, which was Lu Fei's territory. Who would dare to do this to him? However, Longao did not hold back. He knew that a kind horse would be ridden, and a kind man would be bullied. If he behaved like a yes-man, not to mention Lu Fei, even Lu Yun would look down on him. Black Wolf, you're playing with fire. Being looked down upon like this, Lu Fei was furious. If it were not for his big brother, he would have already attacked. Even so, Lu Fei still could not swallow his anger. He said coldly, very well, Black Wolf, you're stronger than me. Let's fight. If you can beat me, you'll be the deputy hall chief. What do you think? Second brother. Longao waved his hand. Before Lu Yun could stop him, he had already said, okay. Lu Yun was delighted when he heard that Black Wolf had accepted his second brother's challenge. Lu Yun also wanted to know Black Wolf's strength. Although he knew that Black Wolf's formation was very powerful, it was still unknown if his strength was really above his own. Apart from Lu Yun and Lu Fei, there were also dozens of protectors in the hall. They all wanted to see Black Wolf's true strength and see if he was qualified to be the deputy hall chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what, this was a dog-eat-dog world where strength was respected. Lu Yun stood up and drew a big circle in the middle of the hall. He said, you two will fight in this circle. Whoever leaves it first will lose. Remember, no matter who wins or loses, your aura cannot leave this circle. Their auras could not leave this circle. Furthermore, it was a battle between two powerful martial artists. This was extremely difficult. Lu Fei and Longao stood up and walked into the circle. They looked at each other coldly. Black Wolf, if I can't beat you in 20 moves, I lose. Lu Fei knew very well that he had to defeat his opponent in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, not only would this person stay in the Martial Artists Alliance, but he would also be riding on his head. Longao chose to ignore him. He had heard such words too many times, but none of the people who had said such words to him had been able to do it. Seeing that He Lang was ignoring him, Lu Fei became even angrier. Without any hesitation, he took a big stride forward and smashed out with his fists. His whole body was like a whirlwind that swept through the entire circle. Lu Fei's strength was also very strong. Others would find it difficult to control their aura. Longao had already sensed that Lu Fei was a world emperor martial artist. If Longao was at his peak, he would have ignored Lu Fei. But now, he had not recovered from his injuries. Not to mention a world emperor martial artist, even a venerable would be difficult for him to fight. Longao's current situation was very special. If he fought with his life on the line, Lu Fei would be no match for him. However, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao knew very well that once he suffered a backlash, the blood pool would take advantage of the situation. With Long Fu's current strength, even with the help of the Dragon Seal space, he would not be able to suppress the blood pool. At that time, he would really become a killing machine. Chapter 838. This battle was extremely dangerous. Longao was careful as he tried his best to avoid Lu Fei's attacks. He was looking for an opportunity to land a fatal blow. Longao did not use his spatial teleportation. The reason was simple. His injuries were very serious. It was best not to use his spatial teleportation as a last resort. If he forcefully used his spatial teleportation, his injuries would worsen and he would be devoured by the blood pool. The consequences would be dire. Self-created martial technique, heaven and earthborn. Longao's body was like a tornado as he swept towards Lu Fei. Within the tornado, Longao immediately used the destruction seal. Terrifying seals shot out rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the first 10 seals were used consecutively. The destruction seal was indeed terrifying. Even though Longao had not recovered from his injuries, Lu Fei could not withstand it. His eyes were cold. Black Wolf, I will show you the power of Starlight Sky. Starlight Sky. At this moment, Lu Fei's entire body seemed to have turned into countless small dots as they shot towards Longao. What a shock. Although he did not come into contact with Lu Fei, Longao could clearly feel how terrifying Lu Fei's martial technique was. Not daring to be careless, Longao had no choice but to use his full strength, which was the strength of a sage emperor. He wanted to suppress Lu Fei with his realm. The illusionary divine realm and the illusionary divine realm were two completely different realms. In front of a sage emperor, a world emperor could only be considered a tragic joke. Master, you cannot use your full strength. Once the blood pool takes advantage of you, the consequences will be dire. Lu Fei ignored Long Fu's warning. At this stage, if he did not use his full strength and used his realm to suppress Lu Fei, he would be the one to lose. Not only would he lose, but his life would also be in danger. Longao was not a fool. He was very clear in his heart that with Lu Fei's character, especially his anger towards him, once he won, he would definitely pursue and kill him. There was no doubt about this. As for Lu Yun, there was no need to guess. If Lu Fei defeated him, the first person to want him dead would be Lu Yun. It was precisely because of this that he could not lose this battle no matter what. Just as Longao was about to use his own strength, two powerful forces came from his arms. Without a doubt, it was the power of Long Chong and Long Ming. Back when they were dealing with the Clear Sky sect, Longao was not the only one involved. Even Long Chong and Long Ao were implicated. However, the two of them were not like Longao. Although they had not recovered to their peak, they were not swallowed by the blood pool. Longao was overjoyed. But even so, Longao was not the least bit careless, because the martial skill used by his opponent was no small matter. Both of his arms shot out quickly, and the shadows of his fists formed an air shield, directly enveloping Longao within. He ignored the light spots that were shooting at him, and all of them fiercely attacked the air shield. In the end, the countless light spots were still unable to break through the air shield and attack Longao. Countless specks of light disappeared. Lu Fei's figure reappeared, and he looked at the young man in front of him in shock. Lu Fei could not believe that his martial skill did not succeed in killing his opponent. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Black Wolf, your strength has surprised me. But if you want to defeat me, I advise you to admit defeat. If you do, I can spare your life. Before Longao could speak, Lu Fei continued, if you are willing to be my dog, I can consider giving you a bowl of rice. Lu Fei was full of confidence. Even if his martial skill did not succeed in killing Longao, the current situation was obviously in his favor. If he could subdue this person, it might not be a bad thing for him. Taking a step back, even if Black Wolf really became the Deputy Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, if Black Wolf became his puppet, wouldn't that make him the Deputy Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance? Thinking of this, Lu Fei laughed in his heart. With just a glance at Lu Fei, Longao instantly understood what Lu Fei was thinking. He sneered and did not continue to talk nonsense. He took a big stride forward. This time, he chose to take the initiative to attack. hoping to kill Lu Fei in the shortest time possible. With a sneer, Lu Fei said that he was courting death. Then, the two of them fought again. In the end, Longao was enduring the battle because his injuries could worsen at any time. It was precisely because of this that Longao had to end the battle quickly, because every minute he delayed, he would be in more danger. He knew this very well in his heart. The absolute suppression of the realm. In the end, Longao used his own strength, but he would not let his opponent see his true strength and realm. Crack. Lu Fei was directly sent flying by Longao. He flew out directly and left the circle. After spinning in the air, Lu Fei stopped abruptly. His face was full of disbelief, because until now, he still could not figure out how he could be sent flying by his opponent with one move. The tornado disappeared, and Longao's figure appeared. Lu Fei lost. Longao won. This battle lasted less than 10 moves. Everyone, including Lu Yun, looked at the two of them. Although this battle was a little unexpected, the truth was in front of them. Longao won, and Lu Fei lost. Then, Longao became the Deputy Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. No one would dare to say anything. This was the benefit of strength. Longao, from now on, you are the Deputy Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance branch. Thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Okay, I'll wait for you tomorrow. Seeing Black Wolf leave, Lu Fei cursed fiercely. He looked at Longao's back unwillingly. He thought for a while, but still could not figure out how his opponent did it. How could he defeat him with one move at the critical moment? Second brother, how did he do it? Lu Fei of course knew what his brother meant. He sighed helplessly and said, "Brother, to be honest, I don't know what happened. At the beginning, I had the upper hand, but at the critical moment, I don't know how Black Wolf did it. He was able to defeat me without anyone noticing." Huh. He seemed to be very surprised. Lu Yun knew his second brother's strength. It was impossible for him to defeat his second brother within 10 moves. However, his opponent did it so easily and in an instant. Could it be that Black Wolf used a formation? In an instant, both Lu Yun and Lu Fei thought of one possibility at the same time. Could it be that Longao was able to do it by using a formation? But Black Wolf did not have the upper hand at the beginning. He only defeated Lu Fei in an instant. Therefore, they were sure that Black Wolf must have used a formation. P.S. Wait, there's one more chapter. After resting for half a month, Xiaoju is completely rested. From tomorrow onwards, there will be 10 chapters every day for the next week. Starting from 12 o'clock tonight, there will be tickets and rewards. It depends on Xiaoju's performance. Chapter 839. Big Brother. It seems that this person's attainment in formations is not simple. Lu Yun nodded. Lu Yun thought for a moment and said, "It seems that this person's strength is not as good as yours. But as you said, this person is very skilled in formations." Big Brother, what should we do now? This person has already asked me to bring him to Wanzhan School. What do you mean? Lu Yun was shocked. Lu Fei seemed to have guessed something and wanted to laugh. He said with disdain, even if Black Wolf's attainment in formations is not bad, he still thinks that he can compete with Wanzhan School. Lu Yun was also a little depressed about this. Forget it. Since this person wants to give it a try, we'll grant him his wish. If his attainments in array formations are really that strong, then recruiting him can be considered as recruiting a genius for the Martial Arts Alliance. Lu Fei did not continue speaking. Since things had already reached this point, he did not know what else to say. Outside Fire Beacon City, at the peak of a mountain about a few thousand meters away from Fire Beacon Chen, Longao sat quietly on the peak of the mountain and focused on recuperating his body. In the battle with Lu Fei just now, if it were not for the help of the two little fellows at the end, it would be impossible for him to defeat Lu Fei in an instant. Inside the Dragon Seal space. Master, you took too much of a risk this time. If it wasn't for the two little fellows, the blood pool would have definitely devoured you. The consequences would have been unimaginable. Longao smiled. Since things had already come to this point, there was no point in saying anything more. Moreover, he did not want to dwell on this problem. After all, He was now the Vice Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance and was one step closer to Yuan. Long Fu, is there no way to truly suppress the blood pool? Longao was very wary of the blood pool. No matter what, if the blood pool continued like this, it would always be a threat to him. Because no one knew when the blood pool would devour him. The best method was to forcefully suppress the blood pool. In this way, he would be able to sit back and relax. He wouldn't have to constantly worry about being devoured by the blood pool and becoming its puppet. Yes, but not now. Master, with your current strength, you are simply unable to forcefully suppress the blood pool. Moreover, the dragon seal has yet to recover. He was a little disappointed and a little unwilling. Seeming to have thought of something, Longao suddenly said, Long Fu, I've already cultivated up to the 10th seal of the destruction seal that you taught me, but I've discovered a problem. The power of the 10 seals seems to be about the same. The more I cultivate, the more it seems to be the case. What's going on? Regarding the destruction seal, Longao had always attached great importance to it. However, as mentioned earlier, as his strength continued to increase, Longao discovered more and more that not only would the seal of destruction devour his soul, its might was almost the same. If that was really the case, then why did he have to continue cultivating? He could just use the first seal directly. Since Master has already sensed it, I won't hide it from you. There really was a problem. Longao didn't say anything because he also wanted to know what was going on with the destruction seal. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he was truly unwilling to give up on the destruction seal. Master, with your talent and potential, even if you cultivated all 18 seals, you wouldn't be able to sense anything fishy. However, I never thought that Master's talent would be so great. Longao still didn't say anything, nor did he become angry. He only knew one thing, and that was that no matter when, Long Fu would never harm him. Master, there is actually only one seal in the destruction seal, the so-called destruction seal. Hearing this news, Longao was shocked, because he indeed never would have thought that the extermination seal technique that he painstakingly trained in only had one seal. No wonder no matter how he trained, he always felt that there was not much difference between the 18 seals. Long Fu, what's going on? Master, it's very simple. If you only cultivated the destruction seal, I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to do it with your talent. Therefore, I forcibly split the destruction seal into 18 seals. This way, Master would have more chances to succeed. However, I never thought that the split destruction seal would devour Master's soul. I see. In the end, Long Fu was doing it for my own good. However, it was precisely because of this that Longao was even more terrified of the destruction seal's might. Just the split 18 seals already had such great power. If the real destruction seal was even more terrifying, then how terrifying would it be? As if he could guess Longao's thoughts, Long Fu continued, Master, the destruction seal is a powerful martial skill that was born from the dragon seal itself. It has the power to destroy heaven and earth. However, it is also extremely difficult to cultivate. Even the old master back then didn't succeed in cultivating it. Before Longao could speak, Long Fu continued. However, Master, your talent is unprecedented. Even the old master back then couldn't compare to you. If there are no accidents, Master, you will be the first person to successfully cultivate the destruction seal. Can I really do it? Clenching his fists tightly, Longao kept telling himself that no matter how difficult it was, he had to succeed in cultivating the destruction seal. Long Fu had already said that the power of the seal of destruction was incomparably strong. If he could really cultivate it successfully, it would definitely be the most beneficial thing for him. Long Fu, I know what to do. Master, since you have already made up your mind, from now on, you don't need to continue cultivating the 18 seals. I will now teach you the chant and mental cultivation method of the destruction seal. Nodding his head, Longao also knew that this was no small matter. He didn't dare to relax in the slightest. In the following time, Longao wholeheartedly immersed himself in learning the destruction seal. If he didn't cultivate it, he wouldn't know. But when he started cultivating it, he was shocked. According to the chant, Once the destruction seal was cultivated to the highest level, just the destruction seal alone was enough to destroy the entire continent. This was the true power of the destruction seal. Longao couldn't help but sigh. The more powerful the destruction seal was, the more he looked forward to it. He looked forward to the day when he successfully cultivated the destruction seal. At that time, no one would be able to hurt his family. As for him, he could also step onto the peak of martial arts and truly fight against the heavenly Tao. With the destruction seal, Long Ao would have another trump card against the heavenly Tao in the future. Long Ao wholeheartedly cultivated the destruction seal. When he really cultivated it, he realized that the destruction seal was even more difficult to cultivate than the 18 seals. No wonder even Long Tian, who was at the peak of his power back then, couldn't cultivate it successfully. In the middle of the night, the pitch-black night was exceptionally quiet. According to Long Fu, he only needed to integrate the chant and mental cultivation method of the destruction seal as soon as possible. As for cultivation, he couldn't be too hasty. Otherwise, he would only end up losing the rice used to lure it. P.S. Next week, 10 chapters a day. Little 9, go eat first. Continue writing later. If you don't want to wait, don't wait. Wake up tomorrow to read. Chapter 840. The next day, inside the Martial Artists Alliance in Fire Beacon City, Long Ao's identity had changed dramatically after he entered the Martial Artists Alliance. Long Ao was now the Deputy Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. Even Lu Fei had to be polite to him. Long Ao, thank you for showing mercy yesterday. Pretentious. With regards to Lu Fei, Long Ao more or less still had some understanding. To say that Lu Fei could let bygones be bygones, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. However, their identities and places were different now. Long Ao would not be calculative with Lu Fei. He smiled and said, "You're welcome. I heard from Big Brother that you want to challenge the Array Master of Wanzhan School." Long Ao did not hide this matter. After all, he had told Lu Yun that he wanted to challenge the Array Master of Wanzhan School. Nodding his head, Long Ao said, "As a formation master, of course I want to see a more powerful formation master, so that I can improve. What do you think?" "That's right. But I have to remind you that the Array Masters of Wanzhan School are very powerful. If you don't have full confidence, I advise you not to humiliate yourself." He snorted in his heart. How could Long Ao not know what Lu Fei was thinking in his heart? It was simple. Lu Fei wanted to provoke him. He wanted to go to Wanzhan School and challenge the Array Master of Wanzhan School, but he was advising him. Lu Fei was shameless to the extreme. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Lu Fei. He was so shameless that it was disgusting. Long Ao did not want to talk nonsense with Lu Fei. He found an excuse and left. Lu Fei sneered and said to himself, "Don't be so arrogant. I'll make you wish you were dead later." "Brother Lu, are you talking about this guy?" At this moment, a young man walked over from not far away. He was handsome and walked like an immortal. A man like this was definitely lethal to women. "Brother Dongfang, this is the Black Wolf I told you about. He's an array master, but he's a little arrogant. He challenged the Wanzhan School's array master. It looks like your Wanzhan School is in trouble this time." Dongfang Shua, the son of the branch master of Wanzhan School, was also the young master of Wanzhan School in Fire Beacon City. As one of the top super geniuses of Wanzhan School, Dongfang Shua had already broken through to Universe Emperor at a young age, and his strength was above Lu Fei's. If not, how could Lu Fei be so polite? He sneered. Dongfang Shua did not put Long Ao in his eyes at all because he had full confidence in his sect's array formation. In terms of strength, Dongfang Shua had to admit that his sect's strength was not as good as other superpowers. But when it came to array formation, Wanzhan School was second, and no one would dare to say they were first. "He's just a reckless guy. Brother Lu, you're too nervous." Before Lu Fei could speak, Dongfang Shua continued, "Every year, countless people want to challenge us in order to become famous. But there is no doubt that everyone who challenges us is dead." He despised Dongfang Shua because the Martial Artists Alliance and Wanzhan School were not on good terms. However, Wanzhan School's array formation was too powerful, and the Martial Artists Alliance could not suppress it at all. So, the two sides had been at peace for a long time. This time, Lu Fei wanted to use Wanzhan School to eradicate Black Wolf, the so-called Longao. Brother Dongfang, I advise you to be careful. I fought with this person yesterday. Although his strength was not as good as mine, he defeated me with the help of his array formation. Although ordinary people did not know that Longao defeated Lu Fei, Dongfang Shuo definitely knew. Because of this, Lu Fei did not hide it at all, even if he knew it would be embarrassing. Hearing this, Dongfang Shuo laughed. His laughter was full of contempt and contempt. He said contemptuously, Brother Lu, don't compare yourself with me, and don't compare yourself with Wanzhan School. You can't even deal with a little black wolf. I really doubt it. Seeing Lu Fei's gloomy face, Dongfang Shuo did not continue. No matter what, this was the opponent's territory. If Lu Fei took action, it would be difficult for him to leave the Martial Artists Alliance. Brother Dongfang, cut the crap. I asked you to come here this time because I want to borrow your strength to eradicate this person. Why should I help you? Brother Dongfang, as long as you can help me kill this person, I will do my best to help you in the life and death world 10 days later. What do you think? Brother Lu, I believe you know more about the life and death world than I do. For so many years, we, the third branch, have not found any secrets in the life and death world. Otherwise, the higher-ups would have intervened in this matter for so many years. Do you think I care about the life and death world? Dongfang Shuo, I know you like Murong Yenner from the Sword Sect. If you help me, I will help you get her. Can you really do it? Dongfang Shuo really wanted to get Murong Yenner. After all, Murong Yenner was the most beautiful woman in Fire Beacon City. Within 1,000 miles, many people regarded Murong Yenner as a goddess. 100%. Dongfang Shuo did not say anything, because he chose to compromise for Murong Yenner. Longao did not know about the shamelessness of the two from beginning to end. In the lobby, Black Wolf Hallmaster, you are finally here. Hallmaster, what's the matter? Longao was very curious. He did not know why the other party was looking for him, but he seemed to be very anxious. Lu Yun looked really anxious and said, Black Wolf, since you have become the Deputy Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance, you should have the right to know about the life and death world 10 days later. Life and death world? Black Wolf, every year, our third branch will enter the life and death world. According to legend, there is the inheritance of a divine path warrior in the life and death world. The higher-ups have been paying attention to this matter, but every time we enter, we return without success. Gradually, the higher-ups no longer pay attention to this matter. Divine Path Inheritance. Longao was also looking forward to the Divine Path Inheritance. Although he already had thousands of Divine Path Inheritances, one more Divine Path Inheritance was better than nothing. If he could get the Divine Path Inheritance in the life and death world, why not? Longao did not speak, because he felt that he did not need to say more about this matter. Lu Yun would naturally tell him. Sure enough. Black Wolf, I believe you have already guessed it. 10 days later, I am going to send you to the life and death world. I hope you can help the Martial Artists Alliance find the Divine Path Inheritance. Longao was not excited, because he did not believe that Lu Yun would be so kind. Me alone? Every time the life and death world opens, only 10 people are allowed to enter under the Seal of Aura, and the Martial Artists Alliance can only send 3 people. Chapter 841. Longao knew very well that Lu Yun wanted him to go to the life and death realm. If he didn't go, the Martial Artists Alliance would definitely deal with him. Without pressure, there would be no motivation. Without danger, there would be no growth. So, Longao had never been afraid of danger. No matter what, he had to improve his strength at the fastest speed, and the only way was to keep practicing. Because of this, Longao didn't refuse and said, Okay, after 10 days, I will go to the life and death realm on behalf of the Martial Artists Alliance. Black Wolf, you said before that you want to go further and climb higher. He nodded. Was he going to meet you in Fire Beacon City? Without a doubt, Yu Yin must be in the headquarters of the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what, Yu Yin's master, Hades, was a divine realm martial artist. It was easy to figure out what was going on. Black Wolf, it's very simple. As long as you can find the legendary divine Tao inheritance in the life and death realm, I can guarantee that the higher-ups will summon you. The divine Tao inheritance in exchange for a chance. If it were other people, they would definitely not agree. After all, the divine Tao inheritance represented the peak of martial arts in this world. In the eyes of ordinary people, divine Tao martial artists were the real peak experts. But Longao wouldn't do that. For his beloved, let alone one divine Tao inheritance, even if there were more than 1,000 divine Tao inheritances, he would still give them up. I understand. Lu Yun seemed to be very satisfied and said with a smile, I have already contacted the Wanzhan school. Since you want a challenge, I will fulfill your wish. But Black Wolf, I have to tell you in advance that you are only representing yourself. It has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. Do you understand? Shameless. Longao cursed in his heart. How could he not know what Lu Yun meant? Understood. In that case, come with me. Lu Yun left the Martial Artists Alliance with Longao, Lu Fei, and the foreign forcers, and headed to Wanzhan School in a grandiose manner. No one knew who spread the news about the challenge, but the Wanzhan School, which was usually quiet, was packed with people today. Wanzhan School was one of the top 10 schools. As one of the top 10 superpowers in the Tianwu continent, Wanzhan School might not be the strongest, but when it came to formations, Wanzhan School was definitely the best. Even the Martial Artists Alliance, the Heaven and Earth Sect, and the Long family couldn't compete with Wanzhan School. Within Fire Beacon City, the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance, the branch of the Wanzhan School, and the branch of the Sword Sect jointly controlled Fire Beacon City. For countless years, the three branches had been living peacefully and didn't interfere with each other's business. Because of this, with the strength of Wanzhan School, even the people from the Martial Artists Alliance and the Sword Sect didn't dare to casually provoke Wanzhan School, let alone ordinary people. Everyone started to guess who exactly Black Wolf was. As everyone knew, Black Wolf suddenly appeared and became the Vice Hall Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance for no reason. He even defeated Lu Fei from the Martial Artists Alliance. Although they admired this person, He Lang's sudden challenge to the 10,000 Formation sect made everyone look down on him. They even thought that he had lost his mind. In other words, everyone thought that Black Wolf was courting death by challenging Wanzhan School. In Wanzhan School, in addition to ordinary people, all the members of the Sword Sect were present. Among them, the Sword Sect Master, Murong Guena, and the Sword Sect Master's daughter, Murong Yenner, were sitting at the head of the table. In addition to the Sword Sect, there were also the Martial Artists Alliance and Wanzhan School. Looking at Black Wolf, Dongfang Liang, the master of Wanzhan School, felt extremely gloomy. Although he looked indifferent, anyone could guess that he must be very angry. Wanzhan School's strength was obvious. No one dared to do this. A little Black Wolf dared to challenge Wanzhan School in public. He didn't take Wanzhan School seriously at all. Brother Dongfang, this time Black Wolf challenged your Wanzhan School. I wonder how you will deal with it? Dongfang Liang smiled and said, Brother Murong, you must be joking. A little trash dares to challenge Wanzhan School. He's really courting death. Dongfang Liang didn't take the Martial Artists Alliance seriously at all. After all, Black Wolf was the Deputy Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. If Black Wolf challenged Wanzhan School, wouldn't it mean that the Martial Artists Alliance challenged Wanzhan School? It would be strange if Wanzhan School didn't give him any face. However, Lu Yun smiled and said, Brother Dongfang, although Black Wolf is the Deputy Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance, Black Wolf's challenge has nothing to do with us. As an array master, Black Wolf wants to see the array masters of Wanzhan School. I can't do anything about it. Please forgive me. Brother Lu, you must be joking. Of course, Dongfang Liang didn't believe Lu Yun's words. Brother Lu, no matter what, Black Wolf is the Deputy Hall Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. Now I just want to ask you, what if there's an accident in the challenge later? Dongfang Liang didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Lu Yun was not a fool. Of course, he knew what Dongfang Liang meant. He smiled and said, Brother Dongfang, I've said that Black Wolf's challenge is his own business. It has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. So, no matter what happens later, it has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. Okay. Longao looked at all the people around and didn't move at all. His courage alone was admired by many people. You're Black Wolf? Who are you? Dongfang Shua snorted. His face was full of disdain and contempt. He said, Black Wolf, don't think that you can challenge the Wanjan school just because you know a little about formations. You talk too much nonsense. Longao shook his head helplessly and ignored Dongfang Shua. Instead, he said to Dongfang Liang, Master Dongfang, I, Black Wolf, officially challenge you. Anyone can fight. What an arrogant tone. Many people appreciated Longao's arrogance, but they didn't think highly of Longao. Still, the strength of the Wanjan school was obvious. As the founder of formations, the Wanjan school's formations were needless to say. They believed that no one in the world could beat the Wanjan school. Dongfang Liang smiled and said, Okay, but Black Wolf, how do we calculate the result of your challenge to the Wanjan school? Dongfang Liang was very confident. After all, the strength of the Wanjan school was obvious. Longao didn't talk much nonsense. After all, things had come to this point. It was useless to say more. Since he had decided to challenge the Wanjan school, he had thought about all the consequences. Master Dongfang, this time I challenge the Wanjan school because I want to see a better formation master. So, if I lose this battle, I will kill myself immediately. But if I win, I want to see the Million Swords formation of Wanjan school. P.S. The second chapter is here. It won't be updated tomorrow morning because I have to sleep in. I will start writing at 2:00 in the afternoon and update after 3 o'clock. There will be 10 chapters tomorrow. Don't rush me. Chapter 842. Infinite Ancestral Swords? Hearing that Longao wanted to challenge Wanjan School's Infinite Ancestral Swords, everyone was shocked. They looked at Longao as if he was an idiot. Everyone knew. Infinite Ancestral Swords was one of the most powerful arrays in Wanjan School. Although Wanjan School's Infinite Ancestral Swords was not even 1,000th of the real Infinite Ancestral Swords, it was still a formidable array. For so many years, no one had dared to challenge Infinite Ancestral Swords. Given the power of Infinite Ancestral Swords, even illusionary divine martial artists would not dare to challenge it. After all, not knowing about arrays and knowing about arrays were two different concepts. Black Wolf, you are really arrogant, Dongfang Shua sneered. He did not expect Lin Fan to challenge Infinite Ancestral Swords. Dongfang Shua thought for a while and continued, Black Wolf, do you really think that you can defeat Wanjan School? Longao did not speak. His meaning was clear. He was ignoring Dongfang Shua. No matter what, Dongfang Shua was just a master and not a master. There were some things that Dongfang Shua could not decide. Just as Dongfang Shua was about to explode, Dongfang Liang waved his hand and stopped him. Dongfang Liang snorted. Dongfang Liang sneered and said, Black Wolf, since this is the case, I will grant you your wish. Wanjan School accepted Black Wolf's challenge. Everyone looked at both parties. Some wanted to cry and some wanted to laugh, because this was the first time they had seen such a thing. Many people started to wonder about Black Wolf's identity. They did not know if he had eaten a leopard's guts. Not only did he challenge Wanjan School's array master, but he also wanted to challenge Infinite Ancestral Swords. Black Wolf, how do you want to challenge? Wanjan School was the overlord of Fire Beacon City. Of course, they would not take the initiative to challenge Lin Fan. If so, they would be bullying the weak. After thinking for a moment, Longao said, Let's make it quick and decide the winner in one battle. Wanjan School can send one person to compete with me in matrices. Each person can set up a matrix and break through the matrix. The person who breaks through the matrix will win. What do you think? Before Dongfang Liang finished his words, Longao continued, As I said before, if I lose, I'll cut my own throat here. This has nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. If I win, I'll try the sect of 10,000 swords. Longao's attitude was extremely confident. The more confident he was, the more the Wanzhan school seemed to hesitate. Could it be that this person was really an expert in array formations? Dongfang Liang sneered in his heart. He did not believe that in the small fire beacon city, there was someone who could surpass Wanzhan school in array formations. What's more, this matter involved the Martial Artists Alliance. Although Lu Yun and Black Wolf had said that this matter had nothing to do with the Martial Artists Alliance, Dongfang Liang was not a fool. If Black Wolf really defeated Wanzhan school, the Martial Artists Alliance would be overjoyed. Things had come to this point, there was no way to retreat. Okay, Dongfang Shua you go. Among the young generation of Wanzhan school, his son, Dongfang Shua, was the strongest person in terms of strength and matrices. Again, with the status of Wanzhan school, it was impossible for them to send a matrices master of the older generation. After thinking about it, they could only send the number one of the young generation of Wanzhan school. However, Dongfang Liang was full of confidence, because in the whole Wanzhan school, there were no more than 3 people who could surpass his son in terms of matrices, including himself. If his son lost, then this person's matrices mastery was needless to say. Dongfang Shua nodded, looked at Longao, and said coldly, Black Wolf, do you want to go first, or should I? Master first, after you. Ha! Suddenly, Dongfang Shua looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, as if he had seen the funniest thing in the world. Because from the beginning to the end, he did not believe that in Fire Beacon City, there was someone who dared to challenge Wanzhan school's array. Of course, everyone knew the meaning of Dongfang Shua's sudden crazy laughter. Everyone had the same mentality as Dongfang Shua. Not to mention others, even Lu Yun and Lu Fei of the Martial Artists Alliance were not optimistic about Longao. After all, the Wanzhan school's matrices mastery was there. Longao did not talk nonsense. He walked to the side, sat down directly, and began to prepare quietly. Seeing this situation, everyone gave him a thumbs up, because this person's courage was commendable. After all, he could still be so calm in the face of the 3 overlords of Fire Beacon City. Dongfang Shua saw that Black Wolf was ignoring him, so he did not talk nonsense and arranged the so-called matrices on the spot. In this way, Dongfang Shua's matrices mastery was clear at a glance. Wanzhan school had countless matrices, and the hierarchy was strict. As the young master of Wanzhan school, Dongfang Shua naturally had access to high-level matrices. Therefore, the matrices that Dongfang Shua arranged this time were called the Burning 8 Desolation matrices. According to Dongfang Shua's matrices mastery, it would take at least 6 hours to arrange the Burning 8 Desolation matrices, and it would also require outside help. However, Dongfang Liang did this in secret. Otherwise, if people knew that Wanzhan school needed help, even if they won, Wanzhan school would lose face. Brother Lu, congratulations to the Martial Artists Alliance for recruiting such a talent. Regardless of Black Wolf's matrices mastery, Dongfang Liang would definitely be unhappy that the Martial Artists Alliance had recruited such a person, because everyone knew that Wanzhan school was the founder of matrices. Under normal circumstances, any matrices master would enter Wanzhan school. But now? Was all this a conspiracy of the Martial Artists Alliance? Of course, Lu Yun knew what Dongfang Liang was thinking. He sneered in his heart and said, Brother Dongfang, you must be joking. I met this person by accident, and he joined the Martial Artists Alliance because of fate. I never thought that he would be a matrices master. At this time, someone laughed, and everyone looked in the direction of the Sword Sect. The one who laughed was none other than the Sword Sect Master's daughter, Murong Yenner. As the most beautiful woman in Fire Beacon City, Murong Yenner's talent was even higher than Dongfang Shua's. Moreover, Murong Yenner was a fearless person. Otherwise, she wouldn't dare to laugh in front of the 3 sections. Yenner, how dare you? Dad, I can't help it. You're too shameless. Everyone knew who Murong Yenner was scolding. Lu Yun and Dongfang Liang's expressions were extremely ugly, but Murong Guena was sitting there, so they could only swallow their anger. The Sword Sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Wanzhan School jointly controlled Fire Beacon City. The Sword Sect was among the 10 sections. Although its strength was at the bottom, its strength was still there. Unless one had nothing better to do, no one was willing to provoke the sword sect. Shut up. Muronguena really didn't know what to do with his daughter. P.S. Xiaoju has added more chapters. Why didn't anyone vote? Even the free recommendation votes were pitifully few. When Xiaoju is motivated, why don't everyone give her some support? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.